All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 279 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us, whether you're live streaming, podcasting, YouTubing, however the hell you're watching, listening, whatever you're doing that gets you connected with us. We want to thank you so much for the time you're giving us today, guys, and for you to let us be with you and have a good old time as a community, guys. That's what we do here every single week at the Spoken Podcast. If this is your first week, welcome. If this is your second or third or 279th, welcome back. We're so happy you guys are here with us, man. We really appreciate this. We tell you at the top of every single show. We tell you at the bottom of every single show. If you've not already done it, we try to get this out of the way because we know that you guys get sick of hearing it. But, man, we have got to continue to push it because we're determined here, damn it. Go to YouTube.com. Go to the Spoken Podcast. Hit subscribe, notify, share, like, all that fun stuff. And then get in the chat. Get in the live chat while we're doing the show. Obviously, you can comment whenever you want to when the show's off air. You can always chime in when you're watching the show off air. We have plenty of people that do that. But if you're here right now and you're watching live, you're hanging out with us live, you might as well get in the live chat, man. Let us know what you guys want to talk about in the world of sports. The Olympics are still going on for another day while we're doing the show live. The men are going for the gold again. LeBron is going to get that gold again and just deal with it. I'm sorry, guys, but that's what's going to have to happen. You guys are going to have to figure out another narrative to hate on the man. We got football coming up. Preseason's already in full swing. We got a lot of baseball stuff coming up because the playoffs are about to start in a little bit. This is when the world of sports really starts to get to the best time of the year. Truly. So that means you guys have things to talk about. You know Trevor and I got things to talk about. We're going to be talking about plenty of things today. But we want you guys to join because we have an entire segment where we call it Speak It, right in the middle of our show, right in the heart of our show, where you guys take over the entire show with your series of questions. Trevor gives us the questions, lays it out on the screen, and we answer them as authentically as we possibly can. And you guys can even answer those questions. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. We've had that several times over where you guys are just taking over the conversation in the chat amongst yourselves and having your own debates. Do whatever the hell you want. Just come and hang out with us today. That's all we ask. Just be a part of what we do. We usually keep it around 2-hour shows, but hang out with us as long as you like. That is what we do here at the Spoken Podcast. This is what we do at the Spoken as a whole. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere. So you guys cannot miss us literally anywhere you want to go. You can't avoid us. We're going to be all up in your face like Vin Diesel and Paul Walker in the first season of Fast and Furious. First movie, I should say. Now I'm in your face. Brian Earl Spillner sounds like a serial killer. We're not serial killers here. We're not cops either. We're guys that like sports, and that's what we're here to talk about. So, Trev, first and foremost, man, how the hell are you doing? How was your week, man?
I'm doing awful. No, I mean, I'm good, bro. It's another week down. The weather was beautiful this week, so it made work a little easier for me. I do work outdoors a lot of the time, so yeah, it was nice. Definitely got a lot of work in this week, but been looking forward to the weekend all week long. Yeah, man, just glad to be here. Glad to talk some sports. We're just inching closer and closer. We got some actual live bullets to play with this or today with the Chiefs. So looking forward to watching some bodies get thrown around out there for real now.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely give you guys our insight of what we think's what to look for in the preseason games. Obviously, you guys know that this isn't real football. This is just the Chiefs just getting through the preseason. Hopefully, the biggest thing is obviously just staying healthy. We'll talk about that as well. There will be a few players, though, that even though, we very much believe here that 95% of the roster has been already decided, we know there's that 5% still to talk about, and we want to talk about that 5%. We're going to give you guys that 5% today of what we think is going to, what to look for, what to pay attention to, what we're going to be paying attention to, and we'll see if we're close to what you guys have. But first and foremost, Trevor, before we do anything else, we got to keep the tradition rolling. You guys know that we have things that we burn on here. You guys know that I have to rant on things. My name happens to rhyme with rants. So without further ado, it is time for Lance Rants. So the news came out this week. It is official. Arguably the most polarizing name in all of sports right now. Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker decided to go ahead and get himself paid. And paid he did. The Chiefs decided, according to Adam Schefter and several other reports, a new deal in KC. Trevor, we put this on the screen real quick, in case you guys haven't seen it, because we know that some of you guys do actually live under rocks. That is just a thing that people do these days. Go ahead and pull that bad boy up real quick, get that pebble out of the way, and let's talk some news. Let's talk some Chiefs. A new deal in KC. Chiefs are signing standout kicker Harrison Butker to a 4-year, $25.6 million extension that includes $17.75 million guaranteed per sources. The deal ties Butker to KC through the 28-28 season. Butker represented and negotiated the deal himself. In other words, Butker literally got himself paid. Now, this is obviously something that I know is a hot topic in Kansas City. Obviously, you would see, if you have the most clutch kicker, probably the best kicker in football, this is a common sense move. Unfortunately, what comes with this move is some people that have some questions as to whether the Chiefs should have done it. A guy that I very much respect in the sports world, that I've respected for many, many years, all the way back to his early SportsCenter days, Trey Wingo. We don't have the actual poll that he had on his tweet, but and paraphrasing, you guys can go find this tweet on Wingo. It's at Wingoz, Wingoz. Trey Wingo, who usually is a very morally sound guy, I usually do respect and honestly agree with a lot of the things he does say, socially, economically, politically, whatever the case is, I usually agree with our guy, Trey Wingo. But Trey had this take where he basically said after this announcement came out that Butker got his extension, that this is showing that NFL teams are willing to put up with whatever it takes as long as a player is going to do their job, basically. And, Trevor and I are very much of the belief, and Trevor kind of steered me in this direction to understand this a little bit more clear, but being offended is a choice. And that's something I had to learn myself, because I always felt like offense was just something that kind of comes naturally. No, you make the choice of whether you're going to allow yourself to get offended by something. And I think that guys like Trey Wingo and people like Trey Wingo, and I don't want to alienate anybody here, but just hear me out for a second. I think people are really misunderstanding what's happening here. They're saying they're trying to clump up Harrison Butker in the same regard as somebody that caused a tragic occurrence to take place, or is a felon, a criminal, has a criminal past. Has a laundry list of issues in their life of drug abuse and things of that nature. I'm just trying to give examples here, but you understand where I'm coming from. They're trying to clump it up as to, well, because this guy has unpopular, or dare I say, wrong opinions, we have to now look at him as a guy that the Chiefs have to put up with. When we know for certain, and it's been confirmed throughout many different sources, including players, that is not how they view Harrison Butker, as Travis Kelce coins him, Harry. He is one of the guys. Now, maybe some of you, and this is not a diss, but maybe some of you didn't grow up playing sports. Maybe some of you weren't a part of a team for the majority of your life. Trevor and I, that's where we grew up. We were in locker rooms. We were in the gym. We were on the field. That is what we know, is playing on teams. And one of the quickest things we learned as kids and as young men was, boy, do we all have different beliefs. Boy, are we all different people.
It's a melting pot.
I remember, in full disclosure, Trevor and I, we went to a new school. Trevor was in 7th grade. I was in 8th grade. And I had never played soccer before. And my principal came up to me. His name was Mr. Vincent. Love the guy. Great dude. Him and his wife are amazing people. And he came up to me and goes, hey, man, you should think about going and trying the soccer team. I didn't want to do it. But you know what? They needed bodies. Now? Yeah, I was, you know what? I'm trying to make friends here. Let's do this, man. Let's go kick a freaking round ball around, see what happens. Ended up falling in love with the sport, by the way. I ended up becoming a captain. That's how bad we were. So, we had a great time. Loved the sport. Ended up falling in love with the sport to this day because of it. But there was a guy on our team that we knew was gay. And we never said it at the time, but we knew it. We could tell. There was signs, because he did things differently. Yeah. And he come to find out it was true. He was a gay guy. But guess what? Nobody gave a shit. You know why? Because 1, he was our buddy, and 2, he was good at soccer. So none of the things that happened outside of the sport mattered to us. He could be whoever the hell he was, born like that, however, whatever you want to talk. The fact is, we all were different, and we all were a team, and we all had fun together, made memories. And that is the point we need to talk about when it comes to Harrison Butker, is that he might have different opinions. He might be a different guy than a lot of other people. Hell, Travis Kelce himself said, a lot of the things that Harrison said in that speech at Benedict College, I didn't agree with. But that's my boy, and I love him. And this dude plays a pivotal role in the Chiefs winning Super Bowls. So whether you agree with Harrison Butker or not, whether you like what he says, in full disclosure, I didn't like a lot of the things he said. I agree with some of the stuff. I'm not getting into it, though. All I'm saying, though, guys, is when I saw that the Chiefs extended him, it was a common sense move. To me, this was a common sense move because Harrison Butker is at the peak of his powers, and if we know that what the most important part of all this is whether you're helping the team or not, and what you do on the field overweighs what you do off the field, at least from a positive sense, then you're going to continue to be on the team. And if we want to sit here and talk about second chances, who's the coach? We're really going to get to it. Who's the coach that gives more second chances than anybody else? It's Andy freaking Reid. And we've had guys that have actually caused or committed real crimes this offseason, like Rashee Rice. But no one wants to see Rashee Rice off this team because we know how good this kid is and the potential he has in this offense. So all the more reason why we should be able to accept what Harrison Butker has said or what Harrison Butker has doubled down on. Those are his beliefs. Let him as a person believe that stuff. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to pay attention to it. But you know what I want? I want Harrison Butker kicking field goals for my team on Sundays. I want him in the playoffs in January and February kicking the football because there's nobody in this league that I'd rather have in that position than Harrison Butker. Nobody. So let's go ahead, Trevor, and put up my list because this actually knocks off another part of my list. You guys remember back in February I put together my off-season free agent wish list. And would you look at it, Trevor? It's a little cut off.
Shipping away, bro.
It's a little cut off on the bottom. You see Nicole Hardman's on the bottom of this. It's actually Turk Wharton, and he got checked off as well. But you look at it, man, there's not a lot left to go and get. Like, obviously, you know that we can't resign. The Chiefs can't resign Nick Allegretti. He obviously went to the Commanders, so that's an L I'm going to have to take. But you know what? I love the guy, and I was hoping the Chiefs would find a way. He went and got his money. Absolutely happy for him. He's going to be the starting guard for the Commanders this season, protecting Jaden Daniels. Sign a depth piece wide receiver. That may still fall under the Nicole Hardman part because if Nicole Hardman does make this team, they technically did sign him back. So maybe that is, and I don't think they're going to sign somebody else unless there's an injury or two. I think we'll talk about the wide receivers in a little bit, but I don't think the depth piece wide receiver is going to happen unless you, again, want to count Nicole Hardman as that. And then when it comes to Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, we're going to talk about this in a minute. It is sounding that's a foregone conclusion. We're going to be getting both those guys contract extensions in the coming weeks, if not the coming days, maybe the coming hours. We'll see. And then obviously Juwan Taylor. I don't know what's going to happen with his contract. I would love to see that get restructured because that would give the Chiefs a little bit more leeway with the cap hits. But I think Juwan Taylor's going to have a hell of a season, so it doesn't really matter to me how they do things with his contract. They can leave it alone. I think he's going to be an effective piece at right tackle. And then obviously you see at the very top the two ones that are still missing. Trade Sky Moore for a day 3 pick. Trade Kadarius Toney for any pick.
Those are the two most iffy ones for me.
Yeah, I don't think either one's going to happen at this time.
They have no trade value, man.
But here's the thing, man. If a team calls them and says, "Hey, look, we saw Sky Moore in your Week 1 game against Jacksonville.
He's awful.
He looked. No,
we'll take him.
Yeah, he looked. Yeah, he looked like better than a D-.
Yeah,
we need help badly. What can we give you a conditional 6th for 2025? The Chiefs better take that. If anybody say, "Hey, we have a broken gumball machine down in the basement and some whistles. Do you guys want that? We'll give you that for Kadarius Toney." Yeah, sign it right now. Yeah, we'll pay for FedEx. Like that's what I'm hoping the Chiefs will do in order to get rid of Kadarius Toney at this point. We'll talk more about that as well. But yeah, man, I'd say the list is looking pretty good. Trevor, I think Harrison Butker.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have hired John Gruden on the coaching staff on your list here.
I should have thought about that, but you know what? I thought about the email thing.
On your bingo card?
Yeah. I ain't trying to get that canceled.
That was such an odd sight of seeing that out there. I don't know. I still don't know what's going on with that.
I tell you what, man. Eddie's got this team moving the right direction.
It's weird seeing him in Chiefs gear, man.
They're going to win another Super Bowl, man. I tell you what.
Right the fucking coattails.
Right in the fucking coattails. I make sure it fucked the Raiders up so they would never win again. I tell you what, man. But anyway, Trevor, I want to get your thoughts on Harrison Butker. When you saw this signing, what was your initial reaction? Did you feel the same way I did? Did anything else come to mind to you, or what was your initial response to this, man?
I mean, I don't really pay much mind to the stuff he said. I mean, it is what it is. He has his own perspective on life, and he was projecting that, and that's fine. Everyone should have their own opinion for sure. That's the beauty of freedom in this country and free speech, because some countries don't have that. So he should be able to speak his mind on things, and especially in the school he went to, and the school that honestly represents a lot of the things he was speaking. So he was kind of in his turf in that moment. So there's going to be naysayers. There's going to be people that disagree with whatever he said, and that's fine. But nonetheless, the guy can kick the shit out of football, and I think he's the best in the game. And I wouldn't have anybody else, like you said, in a position in a clutch moment in the postseason when we need a 60-yarder to ice a game. Give me Harrison. Give me Harry. So, yeah, man, I couldn't be more stoked for the guy. He's earned everything. Signing this guy off of a practice squad in the Panthers to now being, a guy making bank as a kicker in the NFL is a great story. You know what I mean? And I think he's more than deserving of it. And anybody who doesn't like him for him, that's fine. But I mean, as long as you root for the jersey number and the guy that that's consistently being the best kicker in the last 2 to 3 seasons in my mind in football for the Chiefs, I don't really care, man. Other than that, I'm on board with this. I love it.
Trevor, you and I are big. We're big in the entertainment world. We love obviously movies, music, TV shows, all that stuff. And I'm sure a lot of you guys share that sentiment. A lot of that stuff you guys dabble in every single day. Sports are no different. Sports is a form of entertainment. And I'm just going to add one last tidbit. We're going to move on here. And definitely give us your thoughts on the signing as well. If you even feel differently, it's okay. Like, just relay that to us. Let us know why you feel the way you feel, why you didn't want Harrison Butker to be on this team. Was it because of what he said? Or whatever the case is, go ahead and relay that. But real quick, what I'll say is this. A lot of you guys listen to certain artists, watch certain movies because of certain actors, certain people that portray characters, and they're so good at what they do. I promise you, and I sincerely promise you, a large majority of those actors and musicians and artists see the world very differently than you do. Don't believe the same things that you do. May not share the same religious beliefs as you do.
In a far less mild way than Harry delivered.
Trust me. Some of them are very far right. Some of them are very far left. And you're the opposite. Like, what I'm saying is, you don't let that stop you from enjoying a Tom Cruise movie. You don't let that stop you from listening to a Jay-Z album. Like, you don't let that stuff stop you because you enjoy what they give you from a content perspective. So let Harrison Butker and any other player that you may disagree with on life situations and scenarios, let that be the same thing. That's what I'm encouraging you guys on, because there are players, like I said, there are things Harrison Butker did say I didn't agree with. But I'm not going to sit here and say because of that I don't want him kicking footballs for my team. No, that's not how I see it. I disagree with a lot of things a lot of football players have said and done. But if they're good at what they do and they're not harming other people, they're not hurting other people, then let them do what they do and let them say what they want to say, guys. Because like our chat's saying here, Ruben Cruz, it's free speech. It really is, guys. That is literally where it falls under. And that's where we're at. So that's my patriotic take for the day, if you will, if you want to even call it that. But I want to move on to something else, Trevor, because it's getting hairy, man. You want to talk about hairy? It's getting hairy in the wide receiver room with the Chiefs. We're having a lot of problems with the guys that I knew we were going to continue to have problems with, and we're seeing the emergence of a lot of guys that I was very confident was going to take a big step in this up this year. Guys that came back from last season as rookies or guys first year guys. And if you want to, Trevor, this is my list right now of the receivers now that we know Justin Watson's back and healthy, or at least close to health. This is my current list of the wide receivers I think the Chiefs are going to keep going into the regular season. Now, this could change because we have 3 preseason games, a few more practices, and then the regular season hits. But this is my list right now. I do believe the Chiefs are going to keep 6 wide receivers. I don't think they're going to go 7 again. I think they're going to keep it more tight-knit and make this room a little bit more of an efficient room. They're not going to have a bunch of names and sacrifice another position somewhere else. I think they keep it to 6, maybe even 5. But I think it's going to be 6.
I think 6 makes sense.
Yeah, so this is my list right now. Rashee Rice. Now, we don't know if he's going to get suspended or when he's going to get suspended. All we do know is he's still on this roster, and he's the best receiver on this team. I will not have this debate. Rashee Rice is the best receiver on this team, so he takes the top spot. Hollywood Brown, who's looked nothing but incredible in training camp, looks like he's going to fit into this offense very beautifully. He's our number 2. Xavier Worthy, guys, you guys know I had my concerns, my worries. I still do. I reserve my right to have my concerns and worries.
This is real, man.
But man, he looks good in training camp. He looks good, and I hope it translates to real football, because if it does, he's going to make this offense even scarier. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺, you guys know I have an affinity for McCole, but it's more than that. It's because of the fact that I think he just fits what the Chiefs want. They like those guys that can do those jet sweep motion plays. He can do special team stuff. McCole is just a guy the Chiefs have relied on over the last 4 or 5 years. I don't see that changing, especially with some of these other guys with the uncertainties they have with their hands, route abilities, things of that nature, just availability as a whole. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 is always healthy. He's always ready to play. I think he's going to make this roster. I think he can bronze up the wide receiver 4 position. Nico Remigio, you guys know Trevor and I are huge on him. I've been huge on him since the day our guy Marcus Dash from Chief Concerns, shout out to Chief Concerns over there with Jason Dunn. Since the day he told me to watch out for this kid, I've been watching film on him, and I saw him at training camp last year before he got hurt. Yep. I've been watching at training camp this year. He is only getting better. I was listening to Adam Teicher yesterday in 810 on the way home, and Soren Petro asked Adam Teicher, of the 3 guys, Nico Remigio, 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺, and Kadarius Toney, who do you think who gives more to the team? And Adam Teicher said Nico Remigio. He thinks he can give more to this team from a routes perspective. Yes, from a catching perspective, routes perspective, and special teams perspective. This guy can be the most complete player of those 3. And we know that this team is given every opportunity in the world for Kadarius Toney to stay on this team and be a star on this team. We know that 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺, like I said, has been a mainstay in this offense for 4 or 5 years. And yet, Nico's the guy that reporters that are close to the team are saying is the more complete player. For me, it's hard to imagine the Chiefs are not going to have this guy on week 1's roster. I think Nico's going to make this team because I think he was going to make it last year before he got hurt. And then we have Justin Watson. Now, you can have him wherever you want on the hierarchy of wide receivers on this team. To me, he's a guy that averages 2 catches for 23 yards per game and gets a touchdown every 8 games.
Maybe pick up a big first down every other game or something like that.
Yeah, he's just a guy. You guys know how I've explained this about Justin Watson, but he brings size. You know, he's 6'2", 6'3", about 215 pounds, so he's a big receiver. Patrick Mahomes seems to like Justin Watson. Yeah. Not very productive. He's not nearly as productive as people think he is. But he, like Trevor said,
he's a good teammate.
He can make a good big 3rd and 17 catch on he'll stamp his feet on the corner on the out of bounds line and make a big catch here or there.
Good blocks too. Yeah. He's a good teammate. Yeah,
good teammate guy, and he's healthy. I was worried about his health. I thought if that foot was going to get better, then maybe they would move on without him.
Yeah,
it seems
Justin
like he's
Watson's
back.
Making this roster.
Yeah, because if Justin Watson wasn't going to make this roster, like let's say he was really hurt and he was going to go on IR or something, I was going to have Justin Ross take that spot. But because of the fact Justin Watson's going to be here, I think that Justin Watson's getting that final spot. I don't see a scenario, Trevor, where the Chiefs are keeping 7 receivers because I don't think they have enough. I don't think they have enough good wide receivers. I really don't. And to be honest with you, outside of the first 4 or 5 receivers, it doesn't really matter. Like, let's be real. Like, how many teams have 6, 7 deep? Like, teams don't have 6, 7 deep wide receivers. Right. You usually have 2 to 3, like, really, really good receivers and a bunch of guys. I think the Chiefs have 2 or 3 really good receivers and then a bunch of guys. Now, I think a bunch of guys can turn into something because I believe in Nico Remigio.
Yeah.
But I think that right now, as it looks, this is still one of the 10 worst wide receiver rooms in the league, probably still. Maybe bottom 12, still. But Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier, they click. Oh, yeah. It's not going to matter. It's really not.
That speed will be ridiculous.
Now, before I get to your thoughts on this, Trevor, real quick, because I know I'm saying a lot. There was another tweet I put out there, if we can put that one up there real quick, about Sky Moore when it came to him and the comparisons of Nico Remigio, because it is starting to sound like that might be a battle. And I told you guys this in the beginning. Remember when Dave Tobe was talking? Dave Tobe was talking about how, it's going to become 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 and Nico Remigio. I said, no, it's not. Yeah. It's going to become between Sky Moore and Nico Remigio, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and that is exactly what's happening. I put this tweet out here this week, and this is exactly how I feel. Keeping Sky Moore over Nico Remigio would be wasting a roster spot because Sky Moore is not good at football. That is not me trying to shit on the dude. That is me stating a fact. We have now seen 33 games of Sky Moore.
Yeah, they even tried doing the special teams thing, and then he ended up fumbling it in one of those practices, too.
He has 4 muff punts and 2 touchdowns in his career. I mean, like, at some point, you have to be able to accept. Like, I remember I was listening to Julian Edelman on The Herd one time. And in fact, he said this multiple times on the show. He would go into the first practice at training camp for the Patriots, and he would see a receiver, and he would know immediately if this guy's got it or not. And he would be right. Because he knows the position. He plays it.
Yeah.
I have to believe that Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, some of these other veteran guys
probably feel the same way.
Look at Sky Moore, look at Kadarius Toney, like, they don't have it.
That's been for years now, honestly.
I mean, Sky Moore he's getting locked up. He may only make a big catch down the sideline here or there, but for me, that looks like more of out of desperation of, I better make this play just to have a hope of making this team. Meanwhile, Nico Remigio is making plays all over the field. Every time the ball's in his vicinity, he's bringing it in. Yeah. He's running his routes crisp. He does special teams stuff far better than Sky Moore could ever imagine. Yeah. So if I'm looking at building this wide receiver room as best as it possibly can be, again, more of an efficient room with less bodies, I want the guys that give me the most options. That's why I want 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴. That's why I want Nico Remigio, because those guys they're multifaceted players. They may not be as skilled as 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾,
Yeah.
but they're reliable, staying on the field, and they can do multiple things. So that's why I want both those guys, because there is a chance McColl can get hurt. There is a chance Nico can get hurt. If that happens,
Justin Watson's already been hurt.
Right. Then if that happens, you can alternate them, and both those guys can play to the strengths of the other player because they have similar skill sets. So I think it would be a wasted roster spot if they kept Sky Moore because he's so limited in the offense and he is horrible in special teams. Yeah. So there's no real way to put him on the field anymore because he doesn't have the trust of Patrick Mahomes and he's not a performer. That's what I'm concerned about, Trevor. And there's a rumor out there now that we saw that the Patriots just cut Juju Smith-Schuster, who just turned, I think he's 27 years old now. There's been some speculation, if you will, of where he might go back. They said that he may go back to the Steelers, where he started his career. Sure. There's also the Chiefs. There's also been some speculation on the Chiefs. So I posted a poll. We can put the poll up there real quick. I asked this question: should the Chiefs bring wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster back? Yeah. Over 500 votes, 57% said no. I found this interesting. Biggest reason why. One, we've already seen Juju in this offense, and it was just 2 years ago, and he was fantastic in it. And two, even with his knee injury concerns, if we're being honest here, we all know that Juju is better than half this room. I would take Juju Smith-Schuster right now over half this room. I would take him over 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾. I would take him over Nico Remigio just because he's more proven. I would take him over Justin Watson, and I would take him over 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾 and Sky Moore. The only guys I would not take him over right now is Rashee Rice.
Big three, yeah.
Yeah, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy, just based on potential alone of Xavier Worthy. Sure. But
I'm still not taking him over Xavier
But if you can only name 3 of your 6-7 receivers to overcome a guy that has knee concerns and has already played this offense 2 years ago.
Veteran that knows the system. Yeah.
If you could get him for next to nothing and money.
Just become a possession receiver, bro. Just move the sticks. I mean, that's basically what he was when we won the Super Bowl.
I would like to know the reason, and if you're one of the 57% that voted this, no, I'd like to know the reason why. Because if it's injury concerns, then what the hell are we doing with 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾?
I mean, he's free too. He's not costing you
shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if injury concerns are your problem, then why didn't you guys give up on 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾? Yeah. Like that's his entire issue, is he cannot play. He doesn't stay healthy. Juju's had injury concerns, but he's at least played the majority of his career. Yeah. And has been an effective player. And again, is only 27 years old and is much bigger, much more physical than 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾. So I found this poll interesting. I made this statement about Sky Moore with the Nico Remigio comparison, and then I made my 6. Kind of just start from the top, Trevor. Who would be your 6 if you? First of all, do you have 6 or do you have more?
I agree with your 6, honestly.
Okay.
I think that's the way it should look. But I still am in the belief that 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾 is making his team.
Oh God.
I just am. I think they want to make. I think they believe in him as a weapon. They've been trying to use him and taking snaps in the backfield with trickery stuff. I think he's going to make the roster one way or another. I mean, unless he's consistently banged up all the way through preseason, and they which is likely. But I just feel like they believe in this kid, man. You know what I mean? I know Andy Reid's gloated over Sky Moore and talked about his belief in him after last season ended when he was basically a no-show all year in the postseason as well on a healthy scratch. And he was still bragging about the kid, but Sky is definitely on the outside looking in for me. I just don't, there's not much. I mean, what does he offer that nobody else can do? But I feel like the skill set of 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾 is a little bit more rare amongst the bunch. I think he can do things that Andy Reid likes, and that kind of stuff will make you a roster or make a roster spot for you on Andy Reid's team. So I'm still in the belief that's the only one I have to add to this conversation is you're wanting to get Tony out of here.
Yeah, rip the Band-Aid off.
Sure.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Sure. And I'm honestly okay with that too, if that happens. But I'm of the belief, I believe that he is going to be on this roster when the season starts. That's the only change I would say. So I mean, if that means carrying 7 just to bring him in, maybe we make that happen. I think he's on this roster.
So you'd rather sacrifice a roster spot to keep him?
This isn't really my, this is just what I think is going to happen. You know what I mean? And we won a Super Bowl carrying 7 receivers, and if Rashee Rice gets suspended carrying 7 might be a good idea. I don't know. It's hard for me to put myself in the mind of what the Chiefs are wanting to do, what Andy Reid plans on doing, and how he plans on using these guys. But as far as I know, he likes 𝚂𝙺 𝙀𝙺 as a true weapon in this offense, and I think he has a lot of plays drawn up for him. Granted, those plays can be used for guys like 𝚂𝙺 too, similar type player in a way, not as elusive, but I don't know, man. I think they believe in him. And I think they have yet to waver on that. You know, they stuck through the trash talk and the weird off field shit last year, and brought him back this year, or continued to have him alongside them this year. So I mean, that's the only thing I would add to that list. I like the list. I just think 𝚂𝙺 𝙀𝙺 is going to be a Chief still this season.
Well, and we had a comment from our guy Brent I wanted to answer, or not, it's not a question, so I wanted to add to it. He says, Juju doesn't add the special teams value over McColl, Nico, and Watson. That's 100% true, Brent. But see, you're not picking Juju over all 3. You'd be picking Juju over 1. So you would still have multiple guys on your roster that have special. That's why I said about having McColl and Nico would be awesome, because you have 2 guys that are multifaceted.
Yeah, give me Juju over Watson.
Yes,
it's easy.
100%.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. So that's my point. Is you'd be basically choosing him over one of those 3 guys.
Yeah.
And that's where I stand, and I stand on that very confidently.
Yeah.
Now when it comes to like you said, Trevor, about adding a 7th spot, I wouldn't do that to get Juju.
Me neither.
But I also wouldn't do it to keep 𝚂𝙺, because I want to see the Chiefs add another roster spot for maybe an extra linebacker or an extra
where we
defensive
actually
lineman.
need the depth.
Yeah, because I think that the Chiefs' defense this year isn't going to take some massive step back, but I think that Brett Veach is so good at drafting and signing like UDFAs that I would like to see one of these guys get an opportunity. Some of the guys that I'm going to be paying attention to tonight, actually, are guys that I could see maybe squeaking onto the roster, like a Curtis Jacobs. That's a guy I'm really big on.
Yeah,
Fabian Lovett.
I want more depth at linebacker and defensive line.
Yeah, Fabian Lovett from Florida State. Like, those are 2 guys and we're going to talk about that later on.
Too.
But I would really like to see maybe one of those guys get that last spot, as opposed to 𝚂𝙺 𝙀𝙺, who's going to miss games because of injury, talk shit on his IG story, just do things that are just so sophomoric and detrimental to the team that it's not worth like holding on to, in my opinion. Because he's not productive enough, and it's just hard for me to take him seriously, man. And
I agree. I hear you. I still like him. I still like the potential of what he is, and I think that's where the Chiefs are. I think they still have this potential idea of what he could be, and I think he could be that if he can stay healthy. But there's just so many question marks just floating around his head, man. Yeah. It's sometimes it feels like it's better off just to cut your losses and, like you said, pull that Band-Aid off.
There's a lot of things floating around that dude's head. Shout out to the chat real quick. I know I do this every week. I'm kind of late to it, guys, but shout out to our guys over at Chief Concerns for commenting. Dustin Orton, Ruben DeCruz. Man, we got a lot of people in it. Lonnie Pyramids. Oh, man, Lonnie Pyramids on late. Okay.
We got Noah with the comment if you want to go out there.
Yeah. But James T. Kirk, Brent, all you guys, man, we really appreciate you guys all hopping in, man. Waiting for Julia Gully, but Max Wasson as well. Shout out to you guys. And now shout out to, obviously, to Noah Groninger.
Our guy, Noah Groninger, says, Juju couldn't make the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. I think that knee is a big problem, and he doesn't have much left.
Yeah, that's the thing, though.
I understand that approach.
That's a fair approach. My thing is I think that also the Patriots are also in tank mode. I think that the Patriots aren't trying to win right now. So let's say Juju was healthy, right? And let's say Juju was a guy that
as far as I know, he is healthy right now.
Okay, but let's say he's healthy, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a whole offseason.
You would think that he'd be a guy you want to either trade or get rid of to save for money in the future. So I think the Patriots are, because you also heard that they were trying to give Brandon Ayuk like a record-breaking deal.
Yeah.
So I think the Patriots are looking at it as, let's shed some weight here and let's bring in Brandon Ayuk as this big fish, and let Juju maybe go and play for a contender, because we're not good. And I'm sure Juju's not going to want to play for us because Brandon Ayuk refused the record-breaking deal because they suck. I think that's the reason why they probably it's more of like a favor to Juju.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you got a contract here. You thought you were going to play for a good team with Belichick was running things. He's not running things now. We're a couple years away. You're at the point of your career when you want to probably continue to win titles. Go try to play for a contender.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was a knee issue when he led the team in receiving and won a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that that's what he's going to be, but I mean, I'm just saying if he can be 80% of what he was when he was here last time, that's better than the rest of these guys.
Well, exactly. And to Noah's point, let me ask Noah.
I get it. If you're not in on it, I get it. He's probably not going to happen.
Well, and chime in on this. I want to hear from Noah and hear from all you guys. This is a legit question I have, because Trevor just made a great point right there. if Juju is your fifth option,
Right.
is that not an ideal fifth option? Like, who would you rather as the fifth option? Like Trevor said just a minute ago. Justin Watson or Juju Smith-Schuster?
Juju Smith-Schuster,
It's
bro.
Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah. Even if he's hobbled. He's a significantly better football player. So, and he's younger, actually, believe it or not, than Justin Watson. So, for me, it's common. You're not asking Juju to even be what he was in 2022 as the lead
And
receiver.
Justin Watson didn't even have half the statistics that Juju had that year on a hobbled knee.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Juju came in here as the number one receiver on the team with Travis Kelce obviously being the guy.
Right.
Now you have Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce, and Xavier Worthy, and then it would be like Juju Smith-Schuster. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would be so far down the totem pole, he'd probably get 3 targets a game, but at least those 3 targets are going to a guy has been in this offense and has mad chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, has done awesome things, helped this team win a Super Bowl. Like, for me, and you're probably getting him for $650K?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, well, that's a common sense move. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to paint a picture that Juju's going to come in here and just totally elevate the offense, and they're going to go from being an offense that would have scored, 27, 28 a game to 34. No, I'm saying that he's a guy that has proven himself in this offense, has helped win a Super Bowl, and even if he is, like you said, Trevor, 70 to 80% of what he once was, that's 70, 80% better than what Justin Watson has ever been.
That's my point. Like last year, Watson had a massive opportunity to elevate his numbers, and he still couldn't get there. And then Noah follows that up with, I just don't see the Chiefs dumping Watson and bringing in Juju at this point in the process unless there's an injury. Well, there was an injury, but I agree though. I don't think this happens.
Yeah.
I just think this is us just fantasizing about a possible scenario.
Off-season talks,
and
baby.
it's not. I mean, I think Juju at this point is probably 25-30% better player than Justin Watson is at this point, because who knows what that knee is really because when Justin Watson's healthy, he's a decent player. He's still not Juju, but Juju would be an improvement if they did swap the two, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, if I was a betting man right now, and let's say that Juju is going to be on a team before week 1, it's probably the Steelers. He'll probably go back to Tomlin and the guys.
Yeah.
But if he's still available going into the regular season, and let's say the Chiefs go down with an injury, or Rashi's suspended for half the season, guys, I'm telling you right now, that's when it's going to become a really good chance that Juju's back in Kansas City. That is when, because not that he can replace Rashee. Calm down. Nobody. Hey, look, pitchforks, everything. Put him down just for a second. It's like Michael Jackson when he has the guy with the M16. He has the barrels. Just coming down.
No.
Okay, real quick, and then you can shoot me afterwards. Juju's not going to replace what Rashee has been in this offense, or what he would be in this offense this season. Because Rashee, I'm telling you right now, if Rashee plays a full season, Rashee's going to have 1,200 yards and 8-9 touchdowns this year. That's the kind of guy Rashee's going to be this year. Juju won't give you that. Not this time around. But what he will give you is being that third down presence. A guy that on 3rd and 5 is going to go and do a nice dig route, get you 6-7 yards, be a reliable veteran. That's all you need in this offense. Like I told you guys, you don't need Tyreek Hill. It's great to have Tyreek Hill. What you need is reliable assets that can run the routes precisely and can catch the damn ball. That's all Patrick needs. He's proven this. And now that, if like I said, if Rashee does get suspended for 6 to 8 games, which I'm anticipating, if Justin Watson gets hurt again, or one of these other guys goes down with an injury, at that point, it would be dumb for you not to go after a Juju Smith-Schuster, because again, he knows the offense, played in this offense, won a Super Bowl with you, is 27 years old, still a reliable asset. What out there would be better than Juju Smith-Schuster? You can't name it because there's no one out there better. So that's the only time it's going to be a real conversation. But yeah, like Trevor said, we're just speculating at this point as to what they're going to do. I don't believe they're going to cut Justin Watson right now and then bring in Juju. I would personally, but you guys already know how I think. But that's where I'm at with the wide receiver room right now. I think it's pretty much stationary. If all things are the same, if they get through training camp or preseason healthy, or at least close to it, I think these 6 are what it's going to be. Give me your list of receivers you guys think is going to make this team. Do you think it's going to be 5, 6, 7? Who's making this roster, guys? I know a lot of people believe in Justin Ross. I think he's probably going to end up on the Chiefs practice squad. That's where I think he's going to end up. Somebody can probably snatch him up, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to be safe here in Kansas City for another year. Another topic I wanted to bring up, Trevor, is what we're hearing, and it's big reports about the Chiefs' interior side of the offensive line. And it comes down to Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, who are now eligible for long-term extensions, something that I think is very much deserving for both players in particular. Now, I know this isn't the type of signings or extensions that get you to want to take your pants off, But these are the types of signings, guys, that keep Patrick Mahomes' pants on, if you know what I mean. Like, he's going to be able to continue to play his career at a long length of time, and we all want Patrick Mahomes to play for 20 years. The only way that's going to be a possibility is if he has guys like Creed Humphrey and Trey Pancake Papa Smith running things in front of him and keeping him safe and secure and healthy and clean. That's the only way that's going to happen. This last week, by the way, I want to put this out here. We had an incredible, and I mean an incredible conversation with the great former NFL player Merrill Hodge, who used to be on ESPN and used to make Skip Bayless somehow make himself look even worse than how he does for himself. Shout out to unemployment for Skip Bayless, by the way. But Merrill Hodge, man, one of the true greats in football analytics, and he was incredible on this episode. I highly recommend when you're done watching this show today, go over to, it's on our channel actually, you can find it on our YouTube channel, the previous episodes, Arrowhead Allies with Merrill Hodge. Just a great episode, man. We went over an hour long with Merrill. That we never do that with guests. It's usually 30 minutes and we're done.
That's a legend, man.
Merrill, man, it was great conversation. I had to change the conversation because he was getting me sappy. I ain't gonna lie. He started talking about how he overcome cancer and things of that nature, and it was hitting me right in the feels. I had to change and make some jokes and of course I made a fat joke, and so that helped things out. But no, I wanted to give Noah and Clint some credit on that one, seeing that Noah's here for Landon Merrill. And according to what I've seen on our comments, his wife and him have both been in the comments, and they've been very appreciative of the conversation. We are the ones appreciative for the conversation because you guys are the ones that are incredible people, man. We're just here to talk sports, and so shout out to the Hodge family, man.
Yeah.
But in that later on in the conversation, though, on this episode of Arrowhead Allies, it's funny because Clint and I always go back and forth because Clint's very like anti-offensive line, and I'm very offensive line guy. Like I want the best offensive line. I've always said if I had to choose between having elite offensive line play or elite offensive weapons, I go elite offensive line all day long. Because if you give Patrick Mahomes enough time in the pocket, he's going to find the open
That's
man.
if you have a great quarterback.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying with the basis of Patrick Mahomes.
Sure. Like
if I'm building a team for Patrick Mahomes, I'd rather have an elite offensive line. I want to keep him healthy because if you look at the guys that played the longest in the league, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, they were pocket guys. They knew how to stay safe. They always had great offensive lines.
Yep.
That's what I want for Patrick Mahomes as he gets older. I want him to be 35, 36, still feeling like he's 29. I don't want him to be 35, 36, feeling like he's 44. I want him to be healthy. I want him to be young. And that's the best way of doing it. And I explain on this clip right here, guys, from Arrowhead Allies, as to why I believe this is going to happen for Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, because these are two guys the Chiefs need to keep for the foreseeable future. There is something beautiful. You guys remember the early 2000s offensive line. What made that offensive line so great? Obviously, the individual talent was there, but it was the fact those guys all played 45, 46, 47 games in a row together. There was a unison there. There was a bond there. And now you're seeing Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey going into the later, like the veteran portions of their careers. They have never missed a game. They have played every single game together. I think now that they're both 24, 25 years old, the Chiefs see the value in protecting Patrick Mahomes with guys that have been there, that have helped this team win Super Bowls. It's not the sexy stuff, guys. I understand that. But this is the stuff that keeps Patrick Mahomes alive. It's what keeps him from playing only 11 years to playing 18 to 20. That's the kind of moves you have to make. Again, it's not fun because you might have to sacrifice having to pay a linebacker like a Nick Bolton, but those are replaceable assets because the Chiefs have won Super Bowls with Anthony Hitchens. Nick Bolton, although we all love him, if it comes down to him or a Trey Smith, I think it's a no-brainer because you pay offense and you draft defense. And there's one thing we know about Brett Veach. This man can draft the hell out of some defense. So I think as long as Chris Jones is the man you build your defense around, you can replace linebackers. When it comes to this offensive line, you want to keep the man that's in the backfield that's worth $500 million. You want to keep him as protected as possible. And Trey Smith has started since day one and has been one of the best right guards in the league and has been right next to Creed Humphrey the entire time. I don't see why you break that up, even if it costs you a little bit of money, because it's worth it to do so when they are at the ages they're at, when they have the health that they have, when they have the unison, the chemistry they have. It makes no sense to break that up. God damn, I think my face was as red as my shirt in that episode, man. I was
going in. Breathe.
I think I started to breathe after that take, but there we go. That's a shout out to breathing and sleep apnea, apparently. So yeah, we had a very spirited conversation with that one, like I said, because Brian B. Shine, and shout out to my boy over at Hot 103 Jams. He's on my side about this one as well. And Trev, I think I don't want to speak for you, but I definitely think you agree with me on this too, man, because there's nothing more frustrating. The most frustrating, if we think back to how great this Mahomes era has been, and it's been so great. Like, we're so spoiled, man, with the riches we've been given now. Without question, though, if we think about like the one like daunting PTSD-ridden situation that we've had here, it's in Super Bowl 50. Or Super Bowl 55.
Recently.
Yeah, with Super Bowl 55 when Patrick's just running for his life and just getting obliterated. And just, the Buccaneers just are doing whatever they want on the defensive side. There's nothing Patrick Mahomes can do. No matter how magical he looks, how much fun he looks incredible, but he can't do anything. I never want to see that again. I don't want to see anything close to that again. Now, I know that had a lot to do with injuries, but we've seen in previous years, too, where Patrick Mahomes didn't have the best offensive lines, and it showed that it affected the offense. So that's why Brett Veach is overcorrected and going and spending record-breaking money on Joe Thuney, going and trading first-round picks for Orlando Brown Jr., going and spending a high second-round pick on Creed Humphrey when he already had a starting center on this team.
Highest-paid right tackle.
Yes, highest-paid right tackle, exactly. Like going and getting guys and spending real money, and he's about to do it again because he knows that if Kansas City wants to have this dynasty run for another 13, 14 years, which it can, the only way that's going to happen is if you keep Patrick Mahomes healthy. Not if you give him a bunch of weapons.
Yeah.
It's if you make him healthy, keep him healthy. So we're hearing the rumors right now, and they're starting to get louder and louder that Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith are going to be getting their extensions. I don't know what the numbers are going to be. I'd imagine that Creed Humphrey's probably going to get a record-breaking contract for a center, probably $15 to $16 million a year. Trey Smith's probably going to get 12 to 14. But if you can get both these guys, and I've said this over and over again, if you can get both of these guys signed up long-term for less than $30 million a year combined, is that not a win? Because think about it. You could spend $30 million on CeeDee Lamb right now, which we would all love. We would all love to have CeeDee Lamb in this offense. But what would you prefer, Trevor? To go get two top-tier offensive linemen at 25 years old for the next 5 years to protect Patrick Mahomes for $30 million combined, or go get CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, give me the lineman.
Give me the lineman.
Yeah.
Because we've seen Patrick Mahomes win multiple Super Bowls without anything close to CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver. That's the way I look at this. I want Patrick Mahomes to stay on his feet. I want him to be as healthy as possible. I don't ever want to see him have to go around limping around in 2022 trying to figure out how he's going to win the Super Bowl, this team to victory. I don't want to see him do that when he's 34 years old.
Right.
He can get away with that at 27. Not in the mid-30s. And the mid-30s are going to be here before we know it, man. He's going to be 29 years old this year. This shit goes by quick. So in order for us to continue to win Super Bowls here in Kansas City, Patrick's got to be healthy. This is the way to do it. I think this is a common sense move for both players to get signed long term. I know that this offensive line will get expensive real quick, but where else would you want to spend money? Because if you look at the defensive side of things, outside of Chris Jones, the Chiefs aren't spending money anywhere. They got Drew Tranquil on a beautiful team-friendly deal on a 3-year deal. Who else is making money on the defensive side? Not Charles Omenihu. He's making, $11 million this year?
Yeah.
What's that for a veteran edge rusher?
Yeah, we had the NFL's number one ranked player on the Chiefs team when we lost that Super Bowl because our offensive line was so bad. So, you had the number one weapon in football.
Hello.
And Tyreek Hill on that team, and you still managed to lose pretty badly in an embarrassing fashion because what? The offensive line was decimated.
Yeah.
Right? So, if it was the other way around and Tyreek Hill wasn't on this team, we banged up Juju, but we had the offensive line we have right now. We're winning that Super Bowl, guys. Or at least it's far more competitive, and we're actually going to get touchdowns. We're not settling for a field goal the whole entire game. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think defensive line, offensive line is how these teams are built. Obviously, you got to have a good quarterback, and you can get away with having less talent on receivers when you have an all-time tight end like Travis Kelce, which this team has been built on as well. So, the context matters for each team, obviously. Some teams are run-first teams, run-heavy teams, and they just pound it on defense, and that's their way. That's more of an old-school way. But today's game, man, you got to protect your quarterback, allow him, give him time to make the throws. Guys will get open eventually. If you have an elite tight end like we do for years now, that helps as well. So, and you got the genius behind all of it, and Andy Reid drawing up plays. The formula is to protect Patrick Mahomes, keep him upright, and develop the best offensive line around him as possible. And I think that showcased itself last year, along with the good defense, right? So, we don't need the CeeDee Lambs. We don't need the Tyreek Hills. We let Tyreek Hill walk, and we won 2 straight Super Bowls, working on a third. So, yeah, protecting Patrick Mahomes is the number one objective for this team's success.
And the best part about this is, if you really, and we'll move on, But the best part about this is also where the guaranteed dollars start to hit.
Yeah.
So you extend Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. They don't get their guaranteed dollars until 2025. When those hit, that's when Juwan Taylor's guaranteed money starts to slide off. Joe Tooney's money starts to slide
He'll
off.
probably be off the book.
You're not paying Kingsley for another 3 more years after that.
Right.
So here you are, all of a sudden, this expensive offensive line, all of a sudden isn't that expensive. And then Joe Tooney wants to keep playing, then you can get him on a fairer deal, that at 34, 35 years old, maybe pay him a little bit less up top, less big hits on the dead cap side of things. Or if he decides to retire, you have Wanye Morris that can step in and play left guard.
Yeah, Noah chimes in and says, "I'm fine paying Creed and Trey. I just can't allow them to pay every position on the line. $80 million or trading first-round picks for Reynolds."
But that's the point: is that you're not going to have to pay $80 million.
Yeah.
Creed Humphrey is not going to make $80 million. They're not going to make $80 million combined. Like that's the thing.
Guaranteed, yeah.
Yeah, guaranteed. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You're going to get Creed Humphrey for probably $15 million a year. You're going to get Trey Smith for probably $12 to $13 million a year.
Yeah, he'll make around
on a 4-5-year deal max. Yes,
sure. Yeah.
Probably 4 years. They'll probably put him on a 4-year deal.
I hope so.
And what that does, that solidifies 2 of your 5 positions. You just drafted your left tackle, which means you have him on a rookie deal for 4 years. And then you have your left guard, who's the best left guard in football right now, but he's aging, and his money's coming up. And then right tackle, after this year, Juwan Taylor's not going to have these big, huge numbers the Chiefs are going to allow to sit there.
Yeah.
If they want to restructure Juwan Taylor's deal after the season, they can do that. The point is, this offensive line is not going to be as expensive as people think it's going to be. And again, what has Brett Veach done really well at doing outside of drafting defense? He's put together one hell of an offensive line.
And what if Xavier Worthy becomes a superstar receiver in the league? We're not paying him for a few more years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it lines up perfectly for guys that are going to do, because wide receivers obviously are the guys getting paid in this league.
And you have Rashee Rice for 2 more years after this, too.
Right. So who knows we'll even pay Xavier if that time comes, if he's worth it. But I mean, I think investing heavily in the offensive line makes all the sense in my mind.
And with the cap going up continuously in the league, with the Chiefs not spending heavy money on the defensive side of things, and I don't think that's going to change, that gives them that much more allowance on the offensive side to continue to spend that type of money. That's what I think they're going to continue to do. I've always said, you draft defense and you pay offense. I think they're going to continue that trend.
Yeah.
Yes, when Karlaftis starts to come available and eligible for a contract, that's going to be an interesting conversation. Trent McDuffie, that'll be interesting. But as our guy Brent just said here, it's looking like a real possibility Nick Bolton will be the odd man out. I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm not rooting for that.
Yeah, we've touched on this on the show before.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was in the camp for Nick Bolton. But as time goes on, I started to see, especially, it was pretty telling when Nick Bolton had some absences last year, and Traquel, and other guys stepped up, and it didn't really show much of an eyesore out there of missing him. So I think this system is one of those things where you can kind of just rotate guys in and out. I think Spags has proven that over his career as a defensive coordinator. Not that Nick Bolton isn't a great talent. He absolutely is, but he's replaceable more than I think Trey Smith is at this point.
100%.
It took me a while to get there, but I'm there.
100%, man.
Yeah.
So our guy Brent says Trey could make $20 million a year if he wants until he waits to the end of the season. He's the best guard on the market. If that's the case, then that's true. And then you're talking about Trey Smith going somewhere else.
It depends what the league sees him as that.
Yes,
he may not be seen as that.
May not.
We have rose-colored glasses on over here. Granted, for good reason.
Right.
I think he is arguably the best at that position. He's up there with the best. But it depends on what the market says, and the market is rising for guards. So I think, if he waits and wants to hold out, he could definitely make more money. And if we pay him, we pay him. If we don't,
and this is where the conversation gets interesting, because to that point, and Brett is 100% correct about that, because we just saw, I think it was the Eagles guard that made 20-something million a year.
Yeah.
See, that's true. That can be out there for Trey Smith, but you have to remember, guys, it's like look at the Hollywood Brown situation. Hollywood Brown, they said he had offers from a lot of bad teams where he could have made an exorbitant amount of money.
Oh, for sure.
But he went to the Chiefs on a 7-year, $7 million deal. 1 year, $7 million, because he knows being in this limelight for 1 year, either I'm going to get an extension with this team and make a lot of money.
I think so.
Or then after maybe getting a ring, he goes to a Panthers or he goes to a Broncos team or a team like that and goes and makes that 60, 70 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're looking at. So if Trey is looking for, I want to break the bank, then we're having a different conversation. Then we're having a conversation where the Chiefs may not be able to pay Trey Smith.
Yeah, and our guy Max Watson chimes in and says, theoretically, a Juwan restructure could give us enough cap space to go throw real wide receiver money somewhere in the future off seasons.
And that's going to happen.
I think they're going to definitely restructure his.
But to your point, Trevor,
get some things
the incentive for the Chiefs to go and swing big on a big wide receiver is only hinging upon if Xavier Worthy pops.
Sure.
If Xavier Worthy pops and becomes a wide receiver one in this league, the Chiefs are not spending big money at wide receiver anywhere else. They're going to wait until they pay him. That's only, though, if Xavier Worthy pops.
We're talking about Xavier Worthy. I think Rashee Rice has the abilities to be a top receiver in this league.
But Rashee fucked himself gloriously and negatively gloriously this offseason.
Yeah.
If he wouldn't have done what he did on that highway in Dallas, Fort Worth, you're 100% correct. Then you're talking about, Rashee's going to get a $100 million contract.
Yeah.
But because of that, the Chiefs are going to use that. They're like, look, bro, we stood by your side.
Yeah, of course.
But now you're going to have to. You're going to take.
Same thing.
You're going to take $6 million a year or less. Like that's just how it's going to go. Yeah. If Rashee wants to go make the bank, hey, thanks for the 4 years. Best of luck to you. We'll draft your replacement. But Rashee's not breaking the bank here in Kansas City, no matter what he does. These next 3 years, he can be awesome.
Yeah.
But because of the off-field issues he's had, that's always going to be in the back of the Chiefs' mind. That was another reason why, even though they were willing to pay Tyreek Hill a lot of money, that was why they were not willing to bend even further for Tyreek Hill, because they knew even though he was proven innocent, there's a lot of smoke around Tyreek Hill. There's always something going on. And even for a dynamic talent like him, they weren't willing to pay him $30 million a year. So, like I said, these guys can get paid here in Kansas City. Trey Smith can get paid here. Hollywood Brown can get paid here. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Trent McDuffie, all these guys can end up getting paid. But they have to understand that there's going to be a tax with staying here in Kansas City. Sure. Because we know it's always going to be about Patrick Mahomes and building around him. He's always going to be the guy. And that's why you saw the Patriots let go a lot of great players throughout the years. But they kept winning because they knew as long as they had Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they would find a way to win Super Bowls. That's what the Chiefs now have. That's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. That's what the Chiefs now have with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So I hope they figure something out with Trey Smith because I do believe he is a long-term answer at right tackle with a right guard without question. I hope he takes a little bit of a discount here, but if he wants to go and break the bank, like I said, more power to you, brother. You go play for a team that's going to win 6 games a year and go get your $20 million a year. Congratulations to you. So
for sure.
That's where I stand on that topic as well. That has been the addition of what I would like to call Lance Rants. But Trevor, I think we need to get to a little preview before we get to the people because I want to get to the people as soon as possible. But you guys know, for the first time since early February, the Chiefs have an actual game. Not a real game, but they do have a game. It is Chiefs-Jaguars later on tonight at 6 p.m. We weren't totally sure if this game was going to go through or not because we knew there was supposed to be a massive storm that was going to be coming through Jacksonville. Looks like that's probably not going to be the case now. Field conditions are still a worry, though, because it's been raining a ton down in Jacksonville. It looks like it might be iffy conditions. That's going to be something I think will play a factor in how long Andy Reid plays some guys.
Right.
But let's just be real here, Trevor, and I'm going to cut right to the chase. When it comes to preseason football, the only thing I really care about is just this team getting out healthy. I hope that Patrick Mahomes goes out there, breathes on the field, and then goes and sits back down. I don't want Patrick Mahomes playing. I would rather him just never play preseason football, and I will stand by that forever. I don't want Travis Kelce out there. Chris Jones is going to be out there tonight. They're going to have limited snaps for a lot of the big-time players. I really do believe that. I know our guys over at Starcade have Xavier Worthy as a guy to watch out for. I'll be shocked if Xavier Worthy plays 10 snaps in this game. I think they're going to bubble wrap him as well. I think that's the best way of going about it. There's a reason why the NFL is losing preseason games. I think they're going to continue to lose preseason games. Hopefully one day there are no preseason games. Because like I tell you guys all the time, I believe these teams know who their rosters are, at least the vast majority of them, through training camp. That's what training camp is for these teams to monitor very closely of what they got, what they don't have. And I think this team knows about 95% of what this roster is right now. But because of the fact there is a game, we have to entertain it, Trevor. I don't give a shit about the end result. I don't care about what plays I want to see. I don't care about whether the Chiefs win or lose. We're not talking about that. I'm going to keep it plain and simple. There are a couple guys on this team that I am going to be paying attention to tonight. And they're guys that may not even make this roster. But that's, again, because of the fact that those are the guys that you should actually be paying attention to at all. The starting guys you know are going to be on this team, don't even watch what they're doing tonight. I think there's some guys on this team that you should very much be paying close attention to. And I guess I'm being a little harsh. Some of these guys I think are going to make the team regardless of what they do tonight or whether they play well or not. Just off the top of my head, though, Trevor, the two guys that I mentioned them earlier, I think Curtis Jacobs and Levitt out of Florida State and Curtis Jacobs out of Penn State are two guys you really should watch closely. Now, they'll play second quarter on probably. I would say probably the second half where they'll play a lot. Curtis Jacobs is a guy I'm really paying attention to because we know linebacker is a position where the Chiefs are technically deep. But if Nick Bolton does go down with another injury, he already has been a little banged up at training camp, Curtis Jacobs might be a guy that gets real PT in real games because they know that they'll have Drew Tranquill all over the field. We know Leo Chenal's taking a big step up. They have guys on this defense, but Curtis Jacobs is a guy that I think the Chiefs are bigger on than some expect. And we had our guy Mike Williams and all chiefed up on the show months ago after the draft, and he said that Curtis Jacobs is a world-class tackler. This guy can tackle like the best of them. He does have problems in pass pro. He has protection problems. He's a little bit on the slower side of things. He's a little bit shorter than other guys. Who's that sound like, Trevor? Sounds like Nick Bolton. Now, I'm not saying he's Nick Bolton because he's not.
Old school.
But I'm saying, yeah, stylistically.
North and South kind of linebacker.
Yes. He's very much, he has the same style of football player as Nick Bolton. So I think this would be a guy that the Chiefs might want to hold on to in case, like I said, Nick Bolton does go down with an injury, and you have that depth piece there. Take a little bit off Drew Tranquill because Drew Tranquill isn't old, but he's not young anymore. He's 29 years old. Yeah. Add just some young depth, and I think Curtis is 22, 23 years old. That'd be a guy that I would say watch tonight. Pay attention to what Curtis Jacobs does or doesn't do because I think he's a fringe player that could potentially make this roster. Like I said, Leavitt Sr. out of Fabian Leavitt Sr. out of Florida State, big physical defensive tackle, and that's a position that I think the Chiefs need to have as much depth at as possible because they don't have a lot of great players. In fact, they only have one great interior defensive lineman, and it's obviously Chris Jones.
Right. They
have a bunch of guys they're comfortable with. You got your Turk Warrens, you got your Mike Pinnells, and guys like that. But outside of those guys, I mean, Chris Jones is the only special player. Now, I'm not saying that Fabian Leavitt's ever going to become something special, but I do believe he had a 3rd or 4th round grade on him, even though he did go undrafted. He's big, physical, strong, big arms. He's a very aggressive attacker. He can pass rush. He can stop the run. I would really like to see him make some plays tonight and impress the coaching staff and see if he maybe can squeak onto the 53 and just be that extra depth piece they need at defensive tackle. I would say probably more than likely Curtis Jacobs probably has the better chance of making the team between the two, but I would really like to see both these guys make the roster. And this is why I talked to Trevor about not adding that 7th receiver, instead of having another linebacker or another defensive tackle, because I think that's where they need the depth the most. Because wide receiver, it isn't so much about depth, it's so much about can these guys make some fucking plays? That's what I care about. You don't need 7 receivers. Can you give me 3 or 4 that can just make plays? If you have that, that's all you need. So when it comes to tackle, though, guys in the trenches, injuries happen a lot. You're out there, you're right there in the middle of everything. It's like car accidents all the time. You want to have as many bodies to throw to that as possible. And I think that was the ultimate difference maker from the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl last year, was having interior presence. And Andy Heck having guys on the offensive side, and our guy Joe Cullen having guys on the inside on the defensive side of things. I think that's where the Chiefs are focusing on adding depth, and those are the 2 guys I'm really paying attention to. Obviously, the cornerbacks, we know there's so much depth there. Right. It's going to be really tough for this team to break that down as far as who they're keeping, who they're cutting. Jaden Hicks will be fun to watch, but I think he's a lock to make the team. I think that, I think a lot of these guys are locks, but you're only going to probably keep 8 to 10 cornerbacks, and I mean defensive backs as a whole. So it will be interesting to see who doesn't make this roster, because it feels like every single year the Chiefs cut a guy who ends up being a really good player somewhere else as a cornerback. That's just how good Brett Veach is at this position, man, and I think that's going to continue. So watch for those 3. I know I was very defensive heavy on my projection, but that's where I sit because I think the offense is pretty set. I think we know what to see. If you want to pay attention to Kingsley Suamataia, fine. I'm not worried about him. I don't care if he plays great tonight or not. I just don't think that tonight really matters. I think he's locked up the left tackle position, and you're going to see a very focused and driven player come week 1 when they play the Baltimore Ravens. But until then, I'm looking at the defensive side of things. That's where the majority of the youth is. A lot of unproven commodities are over there. That's where I'm paying attention to. Trevor, where are you at?
Yeah, I just really want to go get a win. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, this is the first game. Obviously, is always. It's going to be mostly it's going to be a lot of Carson Wentz, right? We're not going to see a lot of starters out there, but I am interested in watching the DBs and how those guys play out and what the rotation looks like. I really want to see I know Chamari Connor is most likely going to be solidified as a starter on this defense, but I do want to see some of him out there and see him get, his reps in and how he looks, more confirmation of what I think he could be on this defense. So I want to see some Chamari. Jaden Hicks, obviously, yes, I definitely want to see some Jaden Hicks. I do think he's obviously on this roster, but I want to see some more of him. I want to see, we could talk about training camp and all that too, but I want to see him out there, going against guys that are not his teammates. And then Kamal Haddon as well. I definitely want to see, what he's doing out there, how he looks, what his feet look like, how he looks against other receivers. And I think special teams. I think I want to see how we, attack the kickoff and all that. And I want to see, how LRZ is going to be used. If used at all in this game, I want to see, what they're kind of like working with him and what he could do. Maybe see him make a splash play. I mean, I know it's preseason, but just the hype train would go insane if that dude went out there and returned a kick or something, or bladed a big hit off of a kick after he kicked the ball off or something. Who knows what kind of, I just want to see what they have up their sleeve with him and what they're kind of working with LRZ. And I think a lot of the people worldwide want to see what LRZ get some action out there today. So definitely looking at that. And then obviously the running backs. I want to see, Carson Steele, is he something? That Bailey kid, I think if he's still on the roster. I don't know. Who knows what this, I think Clyde and Isaiah are the only ones that we know are going to be running backs in this team.
I think Deneric Prince is going to make it.
Deneric Prince is seemingly to be the third guy there. See what he can do out there. That's the running back depth is something I want to see for sure. And the RBs, DBs, and then LRZ. Those are the three things I'm looking at. The special teams, how the Chiefs, because they're obviously a very a prepared team with things like this. Whenever there's changes amongst the league, we're very much in the front of the line as far as blazing a trail, how the best way to attack these new rules and new things in the league. So I'm excited to see how the Chiefs do things, and looking forward to the league being a copycat league when it comes to Andy Reid's genius once again, and Dave Tobe's genius on the special team side of things, and who is returning kicks and all that. And I just want to see who they have doing it. That's probably the main thing I'm looking forward to today.
Yeah, that's where I stand on it. I think that the Chiefs are in a position now where they don't have a lot of questions, and I don't think that preseason is going to answer those questions, even if they had a ton of them. This is a team that's ready to win another Super Bowl. I really believe that. Am I predicting to win that Super Bowl right now? No, I'm not. But I think that they're as ready as anybody. I know. We'll get to that in a few weeks, but the things have just changed here in Kansas City, and it's a good thing. Don't look at this as a negative thing, guys, when I'm sitting here not excited about preseason football, because I know football's back, so naturally we should be excited. I am. But I'm not excited about tonight. I'm excited about 3 Thursdays from now. Yeah. That's what I'm excited about, is knowing that the Chiefs are about to hang another banner, and they're about to do it in front of the Ravens. They're another foe in the AFC side of things. I love that stuff. That's the stuff that gets me juiced and excited. So all I really care about tonight is this team staying healthy.
I just want to see Harrison Butker go out there and kick. That's all I'm looking for. With that rich ass out there just swinging away right to the uprights. That sweet hairy ass.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah. I like I said, this is not something I'm stoked about, because, like I said, it makes me nervous, honestly. Whenever Patrick Mahomes is out there, or the starting offensive line's out there, I'm just like,
I think Pat probably gets one series, bro.
I hope they one throw touchdown.
I think it's one series.
Let him just chuck a ball downfield to like Hollywood Brown. Let him just score a big touchdown, and then Patrick goes gets his visor. Like, please.
No, it's gonna be Kadarius Toney.
I don't give a shit. I will take that. Kadarius, please score a touchdown tonight. First fucking play.
Bro.
Take it, house it. I'll celebrate it. And then the reason I'll be celebrating it is because Patrick gets to go sit down. That's what I'll be happy about.
It'd be a fish in a barrel situation for you, because Kadarius probably get massively hurt at the end of the play, and then he's cut the next day. So he got his touchdown, Pat got off the field, and Kadarius is gone.
No. This is what will fucking happen. I tell you, this is what will happen. Chiefs fans will use that against me. Well, he's got to be on the team, dude. He scored a touchdown. You see that? That's what I've always heard about the fucking punt return in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Dude, he belongs on this roster. He made a punt return once.
Longest in NFL Super Bowl history.
So, yeah, okay. And it wasn't even a touchdown. So,
it was almost a touchdown, dude.
And the Chiefs had the lead when he did it. So, fuck it. The point is, we are so close to real football, and I couldn't be more excited about that. Let's get through it tonight. I'm going to have like a paper bag the whole time while I'm watching the game. But it's going to be fun. Like I said, let us know who you guys are watching. Key matchups, maybe. Because the Jaguars have a good roster, and I think that they're going to come out and they're probably going to play some of their starters as well.
They always try to play dirty against us.
I know. You would think that Dougie P would have more respect for his former
always
employer.
trying to hurt us, bro.
Yeah. I would like to see the young cornerbacks tonight, because they have like Christian Kirk and
there's so much depth.
Yeah.
Who's rising to the top? Jaden Hicks and Camille Hyden. I want to see those guys, man.
After the second quarter, though, it's usually like, okay, what am I doing here? You know, you just got like watching a bunch of guys that won't make the team. But
You think Brian Cook gets some reps, or is he still not? Okay.
No, Brian will play. Brian will play.
I'm excited to have him back,
He's
man.
been on the field a lot,
That's a dog,
and
Brian
honestly,
That's a
no
dog.
pun intended. No pun intended. He's been getting cooked by Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown, but this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's getting him galvanized and getting him back into football shape, because that's humbling him at training camp.
Well, what would you have? Would you rather have it the other way? Because
That's what I'm
Xavier
saying.
Worthy was getting shut down by those guys? No,
Yeah.
I would not rather
Yeah.
have it the other way.
Right. Yeah. And
That's what Xavier Worthy is supposed to be doing. man.
it shows Xavier Worthy's exceptional speed too, because these dudes just cannot keep up with him. When he's in open space, it's scary, man. Like with this kid, I don't think there'll ever be another Tyreek Hill, but there are going to be certain guys that you watch, and maybe Xavier Worthy will become one of them, where you're like, that dude's different.
Yeah,
He's just, you're not like the rest of the players in this league. And I think that,
Get a little more meat on those bones. But
and
I
this is coming from a guy that's very, I don't want to say pessimistic, but very skeptical
you can't
about
deny, you
Xavier
can't deny what
Worthy.
you're seeing.
Exactly.
Speed is
Go
he's
look at my Twitter feed.
Yeah,
Have you seen me knock Xavier Worthy once?
can't. The dude's been balling.
Because he's performing.
Every clip is like, God damn.
I saw the clip where he ran in
Got
motion.
bumped. Yeah.
and slide. I'm like, guys, he's
Bro,
not
that
going to
happens
run that play.
It happens to everybody.
But he's never going to run that play.
Yeah.
Like they're never going to do that with
I mean, if you get checked to the line, you don't see it coming, you're gonna fall. I mean,
Yeah.
it happens. We've seen the best receivers in football get knocked on their ass on press coverage. It happens, bro.
Our guy Joe Cunningham said it'll be interesting to see how the new kickoff rule changes the
That's
53.
what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Andy approaches it and how Dave Tobe approaches it and
That's-
who he has back there.
Yes.
Is
Dave
it going to be LRZ?
Dave Tobe's got a lot of say in how this roster is constructed.
Yeah.
Because he loves having his certain special teams guy. That is where LRC, I do think,
Yeah.
does play. I told you guys this.
Tony, dude, if he has a big return this game, dude,
Well,
people are going to go nuts.
Like I said, I think LRC is going to be more of a guy that makes tackles and
Yeah.
probably kicks off.
Sure, kick and tackle.
I know
yeah.
we want to see him become a football, like a running
That's
back, or a wide
valuable,
receiver.
though, man. There's not a lot of guys right now in the league that can do that.
I
so
don't think he's ever going to be that, though. I think he's going to be a special teamer.
Sure.
And we're going to talk him in
At least this
25
year.
years. Hey, remember that dude that was, from the UK that, used to kick off for us? That was fun. That was good times. That's the kind of guy I think he is.
He
I don't
became
think
an elite receiver, a lead offensive weapon
yeah.
for Chiefs. No, I'm just kidding.
he's not going to become the next Ed
probably not.
McCaffrey. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well,
Exciting guy, though.
that's where we're at on this game. Like I said, let us know what you guys are looking for, matchup wise, player wise, whatever it is you're looking for tonight. Hopefully, we can keep our eyelids open for all 4 quarters. We'll see how that goes. But Trevor, we made the people wait for over an hour now. What is going on in Speak
Yeah, so we've got 5 questions in here right now. If you guys got more, I will be adding them to the list as we go on in this segment. But as of right now, we got 5 questions. Dustin Norton, did y'all watch Did y'all catch the depth chart for wide receiver? Kept Sky and no Hardman or Remigio. I don't know if that's accurate, but
The last one I saw, they had Kadarius Toney at number 9,
yeah,
and I saw Remigio, Hardman, and Skymore on the top 7. Yeah, top 7. But yeah, they had Kadarius Toney at number 9.
it's subject to change too, man. Obviously, if there's a massive injury or if there's just somebody if Kadarius just keeps playing the way he is, he's probably not going to make the team. But even though I think he's going to, but I mean, it's subject to change.
I heard Adam Teicher and Seren Petro again talking yesterday, because I was listening to the whole segment, and they said something interesting. They said that they think that Sky Moore is going to make the team no matter what. And I'm sitting here and I you know me, Trevor. I'm always I'm very inquisitive about things. I asked the question, why? Why should Sky Moore make this roster?
He shouldn't, unfortunately.
Like, if this is a brass tacks, cutthroat business, tell me what Sky Moore has done or is doing.
Yeah, if it's a what have you done for me lately
deserving.
kind of business, what are we
doing?
What has he done ever?
Yeah, like there's a reason why the Chiefs, before their bye week last year, went and traded back for McCole Hardman. There's a reason why the Chiefs were trying to get DK Metcalf this offseason. Because they know they don't have enough. And they know that they need to start replacing these guys. You have to think that Sky Moore is one of the dudes they're trying to adequately replace. So my thing is, if you have your 3 locked up at top, you have your 3, and you want to add more reliable assets to this team, again, you have Juju Smith-Schuster sitting out there, and you have Nico Remigio, a guy that continues to prove his worth at training camp every single week. You guys all love Justin Watson and are writing these love letters to this dude. He's on the roster. Why do you need Sky Moore? Why do you need Kadarius Toney? Yes, I understand the hype that came with these guys initially. I bought into Sky Moore. I didn't buy into Kadarius Toney, but I bought into Sky Moore. That's done. Those days are gone. It may have only been 2 years ago, but it feels like 10. It feels like we've had this dude on this team forever. I am physically, mentally, and emotionally done with it. We've seen 33 games of Sky Moore. He has 2 touchdowns. That's insane.
He needs to be in the rear view, man.
It's over. I know our guys are all chiefed up, and I love those dudes. That they think that Andy's utilizing them wrong. Utilizing him wrong. Okay, then why isn't Andy changing that? You'd have to think that Andy would be smarter at adjusting and learning how to use a player better than we do. Why hasn't he done it then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the question you have to start asking yourself.
Yeah, if Andy can't get the best out of him, I mean, that should tell you right there.
So I hate to keep harping on this, guys, but I can't think of a single reason why Sky Moore should make this roster. He's not good at football. He's a waste of a roster spot. And maybe Nico Remigio will be too. But we don't know that. We haven't seen 33 games of Nico Remigio.
At least we have the promise of untapped upside with Remigio. We know what Sky Moore is, man.
We don't know what Xavier Worthy is, but they're going to give him that shot. Why? He's a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Nico Remigio might be some undrafted dude.
Oh, there's hella upside with Xavier, though.
But there's hella upside with a lot of these guys. You got to give them their opportunity. Sky Moore had upside.
Yeah.
Gave him his opportunity.
We know now what he is.
Yeah.
He is a solidified nothing at this point, and I hate saying it because I like the guy. He's a sweet dude and a guy that I think obviously works hard. It's just not paying
attention. Seems like a great kid, but he just like I said, it's brass tacks, man. Are you working out? Yes or no? No, he's not.
Yeah.
Why give him another year? I don't get it. There's no logic behind it.
I'm with you. Next question from our guy Dustin Orton. Anyone else laugh with the chatter about CeeDee Lamb to the Chiefs? It's laughable, but man, it would be over if it did happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't laugh about it. I mean, because obviously it'd be amazing, but I guess I would scoff at it just because of the fact that it's so unlike the Chiefs to make that type of move. I do believe the Chiefs want to improve at wide receiver, but I don't think they're ever going to be going and swinging after a top 5 receiver. Like, I don't think they're ever. The Chiefs just 3 years ago had a top 5 receiver, and they didn't pay him what you'd have to pay CeeDee Lamb. So what sense does that make? You had a 27-year-old Tyreek Hill, and you didn't pay him $30 million, but you're going to pay CeeDee Lamb. Tyreek Hill's better than CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's close.
It was close, especially last year. CeeDee Lamb,
and it's only going to get closer. It's only going to get closer. My point, though, is you had prime Tyreek Hill, who knew this offense inside out, won a Super Bowl with you, and you didn't pay him $30 million.
We don't necessarily need.
They don't need
CeeDee Lamb would be a ridiculous addition.
Yes,
I'd be like, what the? Here we go. That'd have been one of those kind of things. But like, yeah. But I mean, if we don't get him, I think our top 3 guys right now are looking pretty promising.
Well, and if we're let's micro verify this real quick.
Obviously,
Trevor.
Rasheed gets suspended for 6 games. That changes things, and having a guy like CD would be insane.
Let's dissect the scenario real quick, okay? Just for fun, just for shits and gigs. I mean, Let's say the Chiefs right now trade for CeeDee Lamb, right? Give up next year's first round, whatever other picks they have. The Titans third round pick
immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get naked on the show.
Nudity.
After I get my clothes back on, though, we're gonna have to start looking at this. And if you look at CeeDee Lamb, I know this sounds ridiculous. Hear me out, guys. CeeDee Lamb in this offense, I don't think would be that happy. Now, obviously, he'd love to play with a team like this to win a Super Bowl and things of that nature. But CeeDee is a volume receiver. And if you look at the way the Chiefs have tried to translate the way they're playing offense now, they want everybody involved. The reason look at the way the Cowboys run their offense. It is exclusively through CeeDee Lamb.
And
they don't have
tight ends.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, those are secondary players.
It's similar to how Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce dynamic was.
Right.
It's very similar to that, yeah.
But what I'm saying is now, like, the Chiefs have revolutionized their offense. It's evolved since 2021, where it's obviously Travis Kelce's your feed, like, that's your bell cow, and then you sprinkle it all over the field. In this offense, CeeDee Lamb would get fed, but he wouldn't get fed like he's been in Dallas. In Dallas, he's getting like 13 to 15 targets a game. In Kansas City, he's getting 8 to 9 to 10. So you extrapolate that through a whole season, he's not getting fed the way he wants. I'm not saying he wouldn't have fun here and they wouldn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, in all fairness, though, in Dallas, they don't have many other options.
Right.
Their receiver room sucks.
Right.
Of
He's been accustomed to being
Michael
the
Gallup
guy.
retires,
CeeDee Lamb wouldn't be the guy here in Kansas City, at least for the next year. It'd still be Travis Kelce. He would be. This offense runs with Travis
The
Kelce.
targets would be close because Travis' targets dropped a little bit throughout the year last year, but his production was down a little bit.
But again, you still have Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy to feed.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to expect to come in and get as much volume, but I think a winning culture would be fun for him.
It would be amazing.
Even though the culture over there is fine, but it's just, it's different over here, obviously. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb, that'd be fun, but it's not going to happen. Let's see. Dustin Orton with another question. Any trade on your radar for the Chiefs?
No, honestly not. I don't want to sound anti-fun. I would actually love it if I was gonna say the Chiefs would make a trade. It would be for a depth piece wide receiver. But I think their wide receiver room is set as far as where we're at right now. I don't think anybody new is going to come in barring an injury, and even if there was an injury, I think they sign a guy like I said, like Juju. Trades, no. I don't see a trade on the horizon. Brett Veach always seems to shock us, so just keep your ears and eyes open because there could be one down the pike. But I mean, Lester, you can think of a position that they need to make a trade. I don't see it.
I don't think, and I don't know who's out there floating around that is an absolute need.
Yeah.
For the Chiefs to make it at this point. I mean, CeeDee Lamb for sure. No, but I mean, I don't know. Honestly, yeah, it doesn't really. I don't really see much out there, to be honest. I don't have any trade predictions on my radar. So sorry, Dustin, for a
Well, Dustin, how about you give
exciting answer there?
Dustin, give us a trade scenario if you have one, bro. Like, we'll ask that same question to you.
Yeah, let us know. Next one from our guy Michael Maldonado. Which guys are competing for the running back spots behind Pacheco and CEH?
I think the only two guys that are really even having a battle is Deneric Prince and Steele.
Yeah,
I know people are trying to convince themselves, and it's to the Chiefs' fault of their own that they had Kadarius Toney running back drills.
LRZ.
He's not a running back, and neither is LRZ. It's going to come down to Steele and Deneric Prince. And I think Deneric Prince is going to win that job. I think Steele has shown some promise, but Deneric Prince looks to be more of a reliable asset in both the receiving and running game. I think he's just a little bit of a better player, more of a physical style football player. And I think he's going to win that third spot. I don't think they keep, obviously, 4 running backs. I think they keep 3 running backs.
Yeah, I agree. Brent, what are your predictions for FAU in these preseason games?
Not much. I think he's going to play. I don't know. I don't know how many, what is his box score is going to look like, but I'm anticipating, guys, that FAU is going to have a big year. Now, when I say big year, I'm not saying like 15 sacks or anything like that. I'm not even close. I think right now, if I was making a bet, Trevor, if they said, hey, FAU 4.5 sacks, over under, I'd take the over. I think FAU is going to have 5 to 6 sacks this season. I think that'd be a good season for a guy who redshirted last year, essentially, and would be splitting time with Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, guys like that. If you have to split time like that and still you can get 5+ sacks, that's a successful season. But FAU is going to have to start showing us something because this guy was, whether people want to accept it or not, he was a first-round pick, and he was the Big 12 Player of the Year. I think he's going to be a guy that can have a good career. I don't know if he's ever going to be something great. I don't know if he's going to become the next Von Miller, but I do expect this season he's going to make some noise. He's going to be a guy that's in the backfield quite a bit because the focus is still on Chris Jones, and they have a lot of seasoned vets on this defensive side of things that FAU can quite literally slip through the cracks and make some big plays. What I want to see more than anything is come playoff time, I want to see FAU being a difference maker. If he can become a difference maker come postseason time, this is going to be one of the deadliest defenses in football again because they are already so deep at certain positions on this defensive side of things. If FAU emerges and becomes even better than I expect right now, this might be the best defense in football. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic because that is something they don't have right now. It's like a 3rd or 4th awesome pass rusher. Right now they have about 2, maybe 3 good pass rushers. They have 4. You're an elite company because there are many defenses out there that have 4 awesome pass rushers.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the expectations should be high, and I think whenever he is on the field on in these preseason games, he should be displaying some havoc. I want to see it out of this kid. I don't care. He should be going full throttle in these games because I want to see what this kid's made of. I really, really do. We've had hints of it, but we haven't seen enough. And this is a first-round draft pick. This guy is supposed to be great, right? And we need him to be great because if he's great, like you said, that changes so much for this defense. That adds a new element that we didn't have even last year when this defense was top 3, top 5 all year long. So, need the kid to be great. I'm expecting good things out of him. I think he has a unique skill set. I think he has a really good low sense of gravity and is strong as shit. And he has a really good get off at the line. So I want to see more of that, and I want to see him display that soon, quickly. Thank you for that question, Brent. Next one is from Bumpa BB on YouTube. Should we resign Donovan Smith, or is it too late?
No, it isn't too late, but I don't think they should because they don't need to. I think that Wanya Morris is going to be fine. I think he's going to be healthy. I think that the Chiefs have enough depth at tackle. They're not going to have to worry about left tackle this year because 𝚂𝙾𝙺𝙴𝙽 is going to be the guy. I think that Donovan Smith is going to have a resurgent year. You saw in the postseason how well Juwan Taylor played once he got his rhythm down, stopped getting in his own head. All of a sudden, he was a lockdown right tackle. I think the Chiefs are bookmarked. I think the Chiefs have one of the 3 best offensive lines in football. And so Donovan Smith, who at this point, and I'll respect Donovan Smith for what he did for the Chiefs last season, filling in, helping them win a Super Bowl, played well with the Buccaneers, won a Super Bowl with them back in 2020. I just think that Donovan Smith's time here in Kansas City is done because they've already went out and made sure they filled that spot. If Donovan Smith was going to be a Chief, he'd have been a Chief over a month ago. I don't see the sense, unless there's an injury that emerges, for them to bring him in now because he's an older veteran. It's going to take him some time to get acclimated again. I don't really see the sense of signing Donovan Smith because Donovan Smith's also going to be a guy that's going to want to start. Where is he going to start in this offense? He's not better than 𝚂𝙾𝙺𝙾. He's not better than Juwan Taylor. I think he's going to be a guy that would be on the bench, and I don't think that's what he wants.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Donovan Smith days are over. Let's see. Next question from our guy, Shaggy Shane. 2 years ago, the Chiefs wore all whites on the road against AFC West opponents. Last year, the KC wore all whites against the NFC. When do you both predict the Chiefs to wear their all whites this year? Great question, Shaggy.
I love Shaggy. Shaggy's my.
I'm hearing Shaggy's voice in my head when I'm reading the question. That's why I was.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Hold on, Shaggy. I love when he does that. That's my favorite thing he does in the world. Shags, it's hard to say. I'm gonna have to look at the schedule right now. I'm sure you already have an answer because I know that Shaggy never asks a question he doesn't have an answer to himself. So let me just take a blind stab.
Rhetorical question, Lance.
Yeah, let me see if this lines up with your answer, Shag, because I want to be as concise as possible with this one. So, so obviously they play the Ravens and Bengals first 2 weeks of the season. They play the Falcons in week 3, but that's on NBC. I'm gonna say week 4 at Chargers. I think that's when they wear their all whites. That first time they wear their, because they've done that before. When they go to the Chargers SoFi, they've worn their all whites quite a bit. I'm going to say week 4 against the Chargers. That's where I'll go.
Okay, I'm going to say week 2 against the Bengals or week 7 against the Niners.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to be for a meaningful game.
Chargers isn't a meaningful game? It's a division game.
I mean, have they really been meaningful games, though, over the years?
I would say they're more meaningful games than an NFC game.
I don't know. I mean, I just think the bad blood between the Bengals and the Niners.
Well, if you're talking storyline, sure. Yeah, I'm talking about rankings and.
Well, I mean, the all whites is again, it's an aesthetically pleasing thing, and it's a thing they break out for certain occasions. And I think there's just a lot more ties to these other matchups rather than there is the Chargers. I don't think we see the Chargers as a massive player, especially this year. If we all feel like they've taken a step back. I mean, I know they upgraded a coach significantly, but roster-wise, talent-wise, they've taken a step back. I mean, I'm not. If it's the Chargers, I don't really care. That's fine. It would make sense for us to do the bust out the all reds or the all whites in divisional games.
Sure,
that makes sense. I love the color rush reds personally. That's my favorite. But yeah, the whites. I think we can bust those out against the. I think as soon as week 2 against the Bengals, man. I
wanted to not to interrupt but there was a statement I wanted to address real quick. It was from our guy Bumpa B.
Yep.
He said you can't say that 𝚂𝙾𝙺𝙾 is going to be the guy when he hasn't played an NFL snap yet. Got to see it first. Okay, so what was all the point of all this hype about Xavier Worthy? What was all the hype about Patrick Mahomes? What's all the hype about any player that we're big on? I don't think that you have to see a player play yet for you to have confidence they're going to be the guy. I don't believe that. Am I sitting here saying that it's a foregone conclusion that 𝚂𝙾𝙺𝙾 is going to be a great player? No, because obviously he has to play the game. You're right about that. But can I sit here and say with all confidence, based on what I've seen so far, that he's going to be a stud? Yeah, I can. I think it's well within my right to have that type of strong opinion, and that's why you guys come to these shows, to hear strong opinions and to express your strong opinions. My strong opinion is that 𝚂𝙾𝙺𝙾 is a freak of nature, who the Chiefs were big on for months. A lot of teams were big on him, and because this is such a tackle-heavy draft, he fell a little bit further. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that in any other draft would have been a top 20 pick. He's going to show that this season and years to come, in my opinion. I think he's going to be a 14, 15-year left tackle in this league. He's insanely athletic. Honestly, guys, I know there's only one Trent Williams, but this is what Trent Williams was when he came out of the draft. Extremely athletic. He was a guy that played point guard when he played basketball, but he was huge as shit. That's what Kingsley is. Kingsley's a guy that can literally jump out of a pool. Like, he's unbelievably strong. He's a horse. He's fast. He's physical. He's got all the capabilities. Guys, he's actually a bigger. He actually is just as big, if not bigger, than Joe Alt, who was the number one tight tackle taken.
And I just don't understand why we're questioning our confidence in a high draft pick being the guy moving forward this season, rather than bringing in old man Donovan Smith, who's played well, but like, wouldn't you rather have it be Kingsley? Like, that makes more sense for him to kind of take over. I get it. We have a semi-proven thing in Donovan Smith, but far more upside with Kingsley.
Yeah, and Bumba responded. He goes, I mean, you're allowed to have your opinion. My opinion is that you have to see it first. Same with Worthy. A lot of analysts have said that Kingsley is a development tackle. Yeah, and a lot of people saw John Ross out of Xavier Worthy. So we're kind of talking in circles here, because you're always going to have people that doubt a player. There are always going to be people that say, "Oh, I don't believe it." They said the same thing about Patrick Mahomes. Always a development guy.
Well, listen, Kingsley's on this team, so there's not really an opinion about Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith's not a part of his team,
right? And to add to that point, Trevor, why is Kingsley starting for the Chiefs at left tackle? This is like when everybody was crucifying Orlando Brown when he was the left tackle for the team. I constantly always reference the fact that, okay, why did the Chiefs give up a first-round pick for him, offer him 2 different $100 million contracts, and then he helped win a Super Bowl where he gave up 0 sacks? The Chiefs believed in him, and he was good enough to be a guy that helped this team win a Super Bowl. So you guys can criticize and crucify him. What was the team's opinion on him? He was good enough. They wanted him long-term. Now, when I look at Kingsley, I see a guy that is even better at that position, that is built for that position, that was born for that position, and based upon what the team is seeing, they agree with me. That, yeah, other people out there might say, oh, he's a development guy. But aren't all players development guys to some degree, especially early in their careers? You're constantly developing, or at least you should be if you want to get better. Patrick Mahomes was in year 3 talking about how he was just learning how to beat cover 2. So every player, especially early in their career, is learning to develop into something better. So I'm assuming, and I'm agreeing that 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 is going to be a development player. But he's going to be a developing player while he's starting for the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. So I like him.
Shaggy Shane followed up a comment on my Week 2 matchup against the Bengals. He says, so Trevor, are you saying the Chiefs will win all white at home? I think wear all white at home against the Bengals. The only time the Chiefs wore all whites at home against the Bengals was in 2006, and Trent Green got knocked out. Yes, of course. You're damn right, Shaggy. They got to get revenge for that. No, I mean, I just think that's I think it's like in a special occasion type of thing, and I like at home against the Bengals. And we know the Bengals like to wear all whites too, so maybe if we could beat them and not allow them to wear those, and we'll wear ours. I don't know. Maybe something like that. I think a home game against the Bengals wearing all whites, a Week 2, especially kicking it off, especially if we're coming off a big win against the Ravens in Week 1, and then bounce back with all whites against the Bengals in Week 2 and smoke them in our own home. That would be a hell of a thing. That would be something I would like to do. Get that out of the way early and start this season off with some fire and some heat, with some whites heat. Shane.
Our guy Bubba BP came back again. He goes,
yeah, I seen it.
Team agreed with the wide receiver room last year too. Yeah, and you disagreed with them last year. That was me. So they need to start listening to me more often, Bumpa. I'm just saying, man. Like, I tend to have this stuff down sometimes, man. I'm just saying, it might be unpopular at a certain time, but we all know that if we can go back in time, they would have added D-Hop to this team without question. I think that would have made things a lot easier. And again, the reason why the Chiefs were in the position they were last year, wide receiver, is because they didn't pay a superstar wide receiver. So they took a massive risk in not doing that. And they also let Juju walk in free agency. So there was a lot of veteran skill that they let walk out the door, and they're trying to replace it with these young, unproven commodities. And it didn't work. But I think that when it comes to certain positions, you have to handle it differently. Because in my opinion, tackles, like especially top tier tackles, like a 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 or a Joe Alt, I think they develop into star players quicker in the NFL than even like skill position players. I think you look at like Randy Moss obviously was a day one superstar, like he was just special. But then you look at like Chris Carter or Tony Gonzalez, Travis Kelce, like it took them a little bit. And then when they became who they were, they just took off. So I think sometimes skill position players, it might take a little bit longer. But a lot of times, offensive linemen in particular, they walk into this league with their grown man bodies and they just kind of become. And they just are who they are. And they just keep going.
He follows it up with, I'm just saying the team doesn't always know best. I'm an optimist. I'm optimistic that Kingsley could be the guy. He's perfect build, movement skills for tackle, just needs to get technique down.
Right, but okay, but it's exactly
There's going to be growing pains, of course.
Going to be growing pains. We're not expecting him to be perfect from day one. I think this whole conversation is centered around why they have him there and not Donovan Smith. It's because the Chiefs wanted to get younger and more athletic. That's what they got. I think that Donovan Smith is probably a lot sharper and more technically sound at this point of his career than Kingsley 𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙴. That's because he's been in the league for 11, 12 years.
He also says, also think Juwan can be an above-average pass protector this season. I think Juwan Taylor's going to have health.
100% agree there.
He was getting targeted last year, and it was unfair to him. I think he's an incredible athlete, man.
I think Juwan Taylor had a much better season than people thought last season.
He was getting picked on so bad and had created a bad rep for him, and then they all of a sudden after week 9, 10, they stopped calling those calls.
Yeah. Go watch the postseason.
Why were y'all picking him? Now you're not even going to call it at all?
Dude, go, in particular, go watch the Ravens game.
Oh, man.
That right side of the offensive line, there was nothing. Yeah. They could not get to Patrick.
And that's a top-tier defensive line, bro.
Dude, Juwan I
love the signing. I mean, I was sketchy about the money we gave him, but I think he's a freak athlete, man.
Yes, and like Bumpa said again, he got in his own head from exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's a mental. Yeah. It's like the equivalent of getting the yips.
Yeah.
You know, where everything's just fuck. You know, you get it's like a war's going on.
How good was Juwan in the postseason, bro?
That's what I'm saying.
He's incredible.
Go watch the Ravens game, dude. It's unreal how great he was. Nothing got from that right side
too, bro. He was dominant.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think he's just going to carry that through. I think this season you're going to see an all pro type year from Juwan Taylor. I'm dead serious.
This offensive line's about to be elite.
Yes.
So that is all the questions, though, man. That's all the questions.
And good back and forth, guys. We've had a couple of weeks like this now. Where we have these back and forth. This is what I'm talking about. I like this.
This is that we're on the runway, man. Getting ready for the season to take off.
We want
traction.
We want these type of conversations where you guys it's back and forth. I like this stuff. Like we have our healthy debates. You know, this is what we want the show to be like. Where Trevor and I will have our back and forths, but then we'll have our back and forths with you. It's a community-driven show, and this is exactly what we want. So, guys, what you're seeing today is exactly what we want to have. When I say get in the chat, it's for this specific reason. So we can have takes back and forth. We might disagree. We may agree. And it's going to be a fun banter back and forth, regardless of what we're talking. I love this. Let's bump and keep it going, bro. All you guys keep it going,
Our guy John Harrison said, Chiefs should definitely need to wear all white in Pittsburgh on December 25th, White Christmas. That is racist, sir.
There will be multiple games this year where they wear like the all reds or the all whites.
Yeah,
I know our guy.
Color Rush Red.
I know Shaq hates that. I know Shaggy does not like the all-white jerseys, but it's going to have... Or is it the all-reds?
I think it's all reds. I think he likes the whites.
I like them all. So I don't care. I don't think they matter.
I love the reds, baby.
I think it's a superstition that some people just let get to them a little bit. It's just all about how you play in that game. I don't care. But yeah.
Bumpa B, he throws in an extra comment here. Do you guys agree with me that we shouldn't pay Trey Smith, top of the market, great player, but not a bulletproof pass protector, and will be $20+ million a year?
It might
or Bolton for the matter.
Okay, well, you know where I stand.
We touched on this earlier, Bumpa, but yeah, well,
I'm never gonna pay Bolton or any middle linebacker for that matter top tier money.
Yeah,
I don't care if you're Luke Kuechly. I'm not paying in this team, on this particular
I don't think
team.
Trey's going to need $20+ million to stay here, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Where I stand on this is it's not whether I would pay him or not. It's whether Trey Smith is a demanding matter.
Because another situation with him is we took a risk with him, too, because he had a massive spine issue or heart.
Blood clot? I think it was blood clot.
It was like a blood clot or something, yeah. He had a serious medical condition. And he fell in the draft because of that.
Right, 6 rounds.
He would have been higher.
6 rounds.
I think
he had a first or second round grade.
He was arguably the best guard in the draft at that time, or he was up there.
Yeah.
But the massive scary issue, we took a chance on him. So I think there'll be some mutual, gentleman agreements between the two parties to keep him here under $20 million a year. I don't think he's going to need that.
But I'll answer it again.
Yeah.
I did answer it earlier. If Trey Smith is hell-bent on no, that's what I'm going to get. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets here in Kansas City. Where I stand right now, I think that Trey Smith is a guy that I think at most would get 14 to 15 million in Kansas City.
Yeah, because he said Robert Hunt got 20 million a year and Trey is better.
And he is better than him, yes.
For sure. But that doesn't always matter to me. That obviously matters in this conversation, but to me, I just think I think Trey can stay for if we give him a couple million less. You know, if we give him a 17.5, 18, he will stay here.
Because he what you're going from is being a guy that's making $20 million a year that will eventually be forgotten.
Yeah.
To a guy that's going to make $15 million a year that's going to become the Hall of Famer.
And like
you know what I mean? Like that's
like,
what we're talking about.
And Bumpa, like we talked about in the show earlier, Joe Tooney's money is going to be basically off the books. He might not even be on the team, soon after this season, possibly.
Juwan Taylor's money.
Juwan Taylor's going to be kicked down the road and restructured. We're not going to have to pay Xavier Worthy, if ever.
Or Kingsley.
You know what I mean? So, Kingsley,
4
those
years.
guys. So, I mean, Nick Bolton's probably not going to get paid to stay here for what he's going to be worth.
And the cap is going up.
Yeah, so I think it lines up perfectly to pay Trey Smith what he's worth. And if it is $20 million, that might be too much.
Yeah, and I don't see the Chiefs doing it.
I think it'd be around 17.
Oh, 17, okay.
I think it'll be, we'll see.
Our guy Brent says, I may have to make an exception for Luke Kuechly. Look, I get that, but guys, I'm telling you right now, like, I got my whole mindset flipped on middle linebackers when I saw the Chiefs win a Super Bowl with Anthony fucking Hitchens, who was just an absolute just open gate. That guy was horrible.
Yeah.
He was horrible. Don't show him this or else he'll DM me and threaten me like he does other people. But the point is, Anthony Hitchens was atrocious, and the Chiefs still won a Super Bowl because middle linebacker, guys, let's be real. It's the running back position of the defense. You can just alternate it. And if you just have a halfway decent guy, like it's great to have Derek Johnson, sure. I love Derek Johnson.
We didn't win shit with him.
But Derek Johnson was more important to this team when you have an Alex Smith.
Yeah.
If Derek Johnson was the linebacker for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, his value drops because you don't need him to be great. You just need him to be good. So Nick Bolton, although he's awesome and he's fun and all that stuff, he's a fan favorite, he's not a paramount piece to this team.
He's a homegrown kid.
He's not a paramount piece to a team that has the best quarterback in football. It's just different. It's valued different. So even with Luke Kuechly being a Hall of Famer that he is or was, if it took $23 million a year to keep Luke Kuechly, I'd laugh him out the room. Sorry. I'm like, Luke Kuechly, congratulations.
Noah says, showing this to Hitchens in 3, 2, 1.
Come on, man. You know better than that, Noah. I've already gotten in trouble a few times on the show.
Don't ruin Hitchens' day like that, man.
Don't ruin his day with facts.
Yeah. Don't hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
That's it, though, man. That's it for the people, man. I appreciate you guys, man. It's
Awesome
been a hell of a
stuff,
great chat, and this is looking to be a hell of a season, bro. So buckle in.
Dude, I hope you guys are excited as we are, man. We're excited every time we get to talk with you guys like this. Like I said, most of us would never have ever communicated in life. Gone our whole lives, never seeing, never talking.
I would never talk to any of you.
I would never ever want to talk to any of you if you guys didn't like my team and like my opinions. No, but like honestly, that's what I love about the Spoken. By the way, we reached the 6,000 milestone on the Facebook group side of things. We're all started. We have over 6,000 people in the group. That's not including just participants that jump in and out, that aren't in the group. Yeah. That's probably another 12, 13,000 right there. But we've made friends out of this. Yeah. And
all 6,000 of you in that group, please just subscribe to the channel.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yes.
Just you know what that would do for us? I mean,
if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, I feel like Talladega Nights right now.
Just click the button.
It's like if you don't chew red was it red mint or big red? If you don't chew big red, fuck you. Yeah. Like, that's what I feel like right now. Damn it! If you're part of this show, subscribe to our fucking YouTube channel. Yeah. Help us out here, guys. Damn it! Come on, we're trying to add to the show, man. You guys are already helping us out big time, so come on. And James T. Kirk, y'all owe me some barbecue. Whatever. Fine.
Come on out, man.
We'll do that. But you guys say LeBron's the GOAT first. So that's speaking. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys to death, man. And we're glad every single week we get to chat with you guys. Sure, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. So those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports. We promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
So we talked about him a little bit in the show. CeeDee Lamb and the whole rumors about joining the Chiefs, all that nonsense. That's not going to happen, but. Because he is dealing with his own situation over there in Cowboyville, and unfortunately, man, I think not only myself, I think for a while now, but I think the NFL fans and obviously Cowboy fans, you can see it online. It's getting to be a mess now. They're really starting to grow tired of Jerry Jones' antics and his old school, whatever you want to call it, kind of ways of just being him and being overly involved as an owner. In a lot of ways, and tries to kind of just helicopter parent everything and have his finger in everything, and that is even I don't even know why, but honestly, it's a lot of it's the press's fault too, because they ask him a lot of questions as if he's like a GM. It's a strange scenario over there, and honestly, I'm glad I don't have to deal with something like that here. That'd be really annoying to deal with, not only him, his voice, and his face, but just the things he says. And I'm not shitting on the man. He's very successful and has had a lot of good. He's been a good contributor to this game and is successful in what he's done throughout his career for sure. But when it comes to talent and respecting the talent that is on his team, there's just it's an inhumane disrespect sometimes for the guys that he's had that have worked hard for the product that he represents and the most marketable team in sports.
Yep.
And for some reason he still just shows disrespect to the ones that make that product to what it is, and that being CeeDee Lamb, right? CeeDee Lamb, a guy who's deserving of top tier money, who arguably was the best offensive weapon in football last year. The guy was incredible, right? He was toe to toe with Tyreek Hill, who's the number one player ranked in the NFL, and he was damn near just as good as Tyreek last year, right? And also led receiving for the number one offense in football last year. When asked, because the circulation of the news being CeeDee's holding out for that contract, this is the last year. Typically this is where star players kind of get their extension. They don't let it ride all the way through. Typically get taken care of the year before.
Yeah.
And he's due a lot of money, man. And so is Dak. So they got a lot of things figuring out. And I just, only reason I don't have a problem with the way Jerry Jones or him getting asked these questions, but he was asked the question about, so Jerry Jones on the CeeDee Lamb talks, we're getting great. This is as far as his perspective on the talks between him and the front office and CeeDee Lamb. We're getting great work done and making real progress. I don't think we're losing a step where we are now. I think CeeDee Lamb sees it differently. And then he was also asked another question. Is there a sense of urgency as the preseason begins to get something done with CeeDee Lamb? And he said no. There's no urgency to get a deal done with maybe the best receiver you ever had in your franchise history. He was only just turned 24 a few months ago. He's an absolute elite weapon and is the perfect guy to pair with Dak and keep them together to have, some semblance of an offense, because that outside of CeeDee Lamb, that wide receiver room is not great. So then you're going to work on, just depending on running backs, whatever running back you bring in, and then, tight ends. So I just, the disrespect, man, there, it's just that I can understand why CeeDee Lamb feels rubbed the wrong way and all these rumors and him taking the Cowboys shit off his profiles and, removing all that stuff to send some kind of sign. I'm pretty sure CeeDee Lamb's going to get his money and stay a Cowboy. That's typically how this goes. It happens a lot of times, and guys try to make, nowadays players will leverage social media to put the pressure back on the front office to pay them by removing their stuff and threatening basically to entertain other things. Granted, he's still under contract, but out of respect for a guy that was arguably the best receiver in football last year, you pay those kind of guys. Whether it's there or somewhere else, you let them explore something else and trade, whatever. But I just didn't like the way Jerry did that, man. And he's done this numerous times before. He's been very disrespectful to other players. And as an owner, that's just a weird look, right? And he could have answered that in an entirely different way. And I'm not trying to tell somebody how to do their job or how to answer, how to be themselves. But his self sucks sometimes. And I think he could have answered that question in a lot different way. There's definitely first of all, he's lying, because there's definitely urgency to resign that guy. There's urgency to resign Dak Prescott as well, because those guys give him the only shot of having success these next few years of being competitive moving forward. So for that, Jerry Jones, do me a solid favor and hold this up.
I guarantee when Jerry is done, whether I'm not saying like he has to be dead or anything, but like when the day comes, he is no longer like even part of the running of the organization, which will be soon.
Yeah,
Stephen Jones is pretty much running things now.
Right.
His son. I think that'll be the end of that style of owner, because you remember that's how what's his name? Al Davis was, and a lot of some of those older firecracker style GM.
Even John Gruden was like that. I mean, he wasn't an owner or GM, but he was.
Yeah, those kind of guys are going away
brimstone.
because these franchises, and the NFL in particular, they don't like to be the center of attention, like drama wise. Like there's some franchises that do like it, but even like the Jets, like Woody Johnson doesn't get involved in shit.
Well, bro,
like as far as like talking to the media as much.
Who was the GM? Was the GM for the Titans or the owner of the Titans when he said he didn't want the something about someone running the asylum or whatever, talking about the.
No, that was the Texans owner. Rob McNair, I think it was.
See, that was like because they're starting to catch on that these players are starting to have more and more agency as the years goes on, and they're starting to understand that their value is they are the product.
Yep.
Right. So they're starting to gain more agency, and I think they're guys like CeeDee Lamb and whoever else is wanting to stand on 10 toes and display their value and use every bit of leverage they have because people go to watch them, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? They can give a damn who the owner or the GM is. If that product on the field is good, that's what the fans sign up to go put their asses in the seat for.
Exactly.
So that gives them the leverage for sure.
I love people that make their takes and stand by them, and because it shows boldness, it shows that you're not afraid of criticism. But goddamn, do I love when people are wrong. So we saw the U.S. Olympics team getting their cheeks clapped, honestly, early in that game against the Serbians.
Yeah.
Serbians are hitting every three that you could think of, and outside of Steph Curry and a little bit of LeBron James in that first half, there was just not much that the U.S. was offering. And as you guys know, it looked, like I said, well in doubt. Like the Serbians are going to advance past the U.S. team, and all the criticisms were waiting in line to kill LeBron James. They're down 16 points going into the fourth quarter, and a miracle happens, and the U.S. team rises above it. Come back and start hitting threes. Jokic gets shut down by some old guy, I think by the name of LeBron James, who, by the way, I don't know if you knew this or not sure, but Jokic is widely considered the best player in the world in the prime of his life, and LeBron's going to be 40 in like 4 months, and he got shut down by that 40-year-old. And then the U.S. team won. Freezing Cold Tates is one of my favorite accounts on Twitter, especially when they retweet stuff that comes from people that we just absolutely love here at the Spoken Podcast. And this is a tweet that happened right around halftime of that game. Go ahead and throw that up there, Trevor, if you could, real quick.
Oh man, didn't even see this one. I'm shocked.
That's all I wanted to say. I have nothing else to add. It's always good to see that. Just like when, J.J. Watt had bust written all over him, right, Carrington? Yeah, I remember that one too. Those are good takes. Good takes. With that said, Carrington Harrison, do me a solid and hold this L. There we go. That's your,
you can't spell Carrington without L. Wow. Shout out, see that, man.
Yeah. I like a good glizzy. So not to make things any more awkward, but that's the end of it right there. So we really appreciate this fun show. It's been a very fun show today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that one, because I definitely did, especially that ending part. Shout out to our guys. I know this is a weird side note, but shout out to our guys Laszlo and Slim Fast and all them.
Yeah, shout out to 610 though in a lot of ways too, man. Yeah. They got that. That's a big opportunity.
It just sucks that alternative music seems to be going away in Kansas City, and that sucks. So 96.5 The Buzz. Miss you, but you know what? The show does go on. The Church of Laszlo is moving to 98.9.
Yeah, sports is going FM. That's cool, man. That's a big thing.
And very, very sad. Like I said, it's a somber thing, but you know what? Radio's a weird thing right now.
Their
man.
show is still alive, though.
Yeah, oh no, they do well.
Yeah,
and like I said,
the show's still going to go on.
I very much support Laszlo and Slim Fast and those guys. So keep things going over there, guys. We'll continue to support you guys. And 610, don't fuck this up. So with that, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts all this together on the back end of things, I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 279 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we're back here in 1 week's time, talking about what we saw from this preseason game, what we took away from it, what we're expecting, and we inch 1 week closer to real football. Until that time is here, until that time is present, we out of this bitch. Have a great weekend.
Later.